Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to EMEA Contenders Trials. It's day one here at Monkey Bubble. We're opening things up right with a fantastic matchup between Sheer Cold and Vasta. Your tour guides through all of today's wondrous Overwatch are going to be myself. I am Dora, and I am joined by the always wonderful Kenobi. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Dora. It's going to be some great action that we have today. We've obviously covered trials beforehand, me and you, but we are having a different change in format this time. It's best of 3 now, so no more best of 2. So we're both in it for the long haul, I would say, today.
Yeah, the first to 3 format gives itself a little bit more time to try and explore the map pool. The first to 2s were ending very, very quickly. We weren't seeing too much Assault. We weren't seeing too many hybrid maps come out because it was further on in the map pool. This kind of gives them a chance to shake it up. Now, looking at these teams, these are stacked. These guys are bound to go the distance. Nihili has had total roster overhaul since previous Contenders trials. In Sheer Cold, they got smacked out of Contenders, unfortunately, by the bracket itself. So they've got to make a name for themselves as hell.
Yeah, I would consider this probably one of the better games that we're going to have throughout the entirety of EU trials, actually, or EMEA trials, rather, Dor. I mean, Sheer Cold, stalwart fans of EMEA, just Overwatch Tier 2 will probably know everyone on this team, know this team in general. Grathen, Backbone, Shade, Alex, you know, Lucier and Refit, names that have been here for quite a while. And then Vox and Nihili, like you mentioned, they have some names on their team that also have been around the block for a long time. I remember like Jaru, Admiral Raptor. And then the interesting is they have Theomatic, who has joined the roster and who has been on it for about a day. So we got to see how that coordination is going to link up with him and the other tank in Jaru. And I'm very excited to see what these two teams bring to the table, considering that we're going into Oasis as our first map. Genji, to let everyone know, still pretty good. And what we're seeing from Vox Nihili is a little bit of an interesting look here. We're seeing a double main tank setup with the Winston and the Reinhardt. So a lot of cleave action in this team composition.
They've got to close that distance, though. They're severely lacking the wave heals, and that's exactly why Backbone throws a fire strike right back at him. Return to center. Jaru now down. One of those 2 main tanks you mentioned now gone, and this push has no legs to stand on.
That's always satisfying when you're a Genji, when you deflect one of those fire strikes right back into the Reinhardt's face, but this fight's still going on, pretty scrappy. Backbone is dead. That means Ido is in the advantage, with Grathen gets the kill.
And that's the biggest thing that Sheer Cold are going to have this entire time. They've had a Baptiste. They have the advantage in sustain, but they're not on top of the point here. They can find a pick off to the side, but the entire time it's going to be Vox Nihili picking away percentages. They finally decided to move forward with a double shield help from the application matrix to try and seal this one out. Lucier turned into a little bit of a pseudo DPS from the Baptiste, but they take it back their way.
And this should be Sheer Cold mopping up the rest of these stragglers here. And that, it was actually really well played from them. Unfortunately, they didn't get the first capture, and Vox Nihili did, so there is 11% that Vox Nihili has. That's going to die. Okay, good. They got the kill.
That hurt.
That's good. That's a
rude.
pretty big stagger as well. So that 11% that Vox Nihili got really means nothing at this point because of that stagger. Sheer Cold's going to start ticking up their percentage. And Backbone is going to have that Dragon Blade in time for this next fight. Ido most likely will have it as well, so we're going to have a battle of Dragon Blades. The only difference is that Nat is closer to the rally than Refit is, and that could be the difference maker here.
But they could also charge up this supercharger and then throw it in with the blade. That is if they don't just win the fight outright. Ido goes down early. The stun on a Theo. The Primal Rage desperately trying to pick this team apart. The bunker has been pulled apart at that. The Orisa now out of the way. The rest of the brawl can start to move forward and clear this distance. The point's been ticked over, but the damage has not been taken care of. Vendetta looking along the side to try and deal with a couple of these DPS members from Sheer Cold.
And through all of that, Vox Nihili has flipped, so they have control of the point now. But here comes Backbone with the blade.
He's got it loaded up, slicing and dicing his way on through. Make a little bit of Vox Nihili sashimi, but he can't quite fully complete that dinner. The chef not as good as he once thought he was. Sheer Cold in for the recontest here. They've only got a supercharger left to do it. Amplification matrix coming online, but it is just enough to drag them across that finish line and get him the point 6.
Finally, Sheer Cold gets back the point, even 45, actually 46 now for Vox Nihili. But a lot of ultimates committed there for Sheer Cold, Dor, and Luckily enough for them, they are going to be able to keep the amplification matrix, so they do have something to work with. Nat has actually switched over to the Moira, so offering a little bit more healing than that Brigitte was doing. The only issue is that you've taken away some of the CC that was used to deal with Backbone, so any blade from Backbone now should get relatively a ton of value.
And it's getting relatively close to being fully charged up. Boxing League still looking to close that distance. The brawl composition, that's a non-trivial task right about now. Getting all the way in, even with the Lucio speed boosting, you is so difficult. You've got a sound barrier to look for the engage, though, and just different ways to avoid this amplification matrix. And they're going to use that beautifully, immediately running straight into the backline, ignoring this amplification matrix. The blade, though, that you mentioned, completely uncounterable from Backbone, runs into the backline, cleans things up, and tries to lock down this first map for sheer cold.
And that's kind of the game of chicken that you play. Admiral Raptor uses that beat aggressively to engage, but they really good kiting from sheer cold. They run away from it, and once it's over, a blade comes in from Backbone, nothing to counter it, and it's a very easy win for sheer cold here on our first round of Oasis.
Now, Kenobi, I've got a really big question for you, because I don't think we hit nearly hard enough on the composition that Vox Nihili ran. It was a very interesting one with the Reinhardt Winston. It's a little bit of a jank composition, but it's one that I've actually seen used a few times before. I'm a little bit of a fan of it, but it didn't work out for him there. What do you think they need to change about their playstyle here? Because it looks like they want to stick with the brawl.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a pseudo rush composition, right? Where you're trying to just get onto the enemy. I think actually they necessarily didn't do anything wrong. There were some janky dives coming out from the Winston specifically, but I think the person who did really well was Sheer Cold played around it extremely well, like we saw in that last fight, where once the engage comes in, Sheer Cold just kites away from it and do a really good job of peeling away their important members away from the dive or the rush of Vox and Healing. In this enclosed area, it'll be a little bit more difficult because all the fights are going to be on the point and in these enclosed areas, and Vox and Healy's comp smashes enclosed areas like this in brawls. So for Sheer Cold, they're going to have to play really smart with their rotations and figure out a way to circumvent this dive.
And most importantly here, Vox Nihili got the point first. Sheer Cold have to come to them. They weren't able to make their way all the way up on top of the high ground. They weren't able to get the map control, the double shield once. They haven't even set themselves up, shoved right back through their spawn choke as Vox Nihili took the point over, but they've lost the Reinhardt on the way, getting way too big for their britches. In comes Sheer Cold, happily punishing them for their mistakes.
Admiral Raptor, though, gets a kill onto Backbone, and the sustains there with the Coalescence door. This is not over just yet.
No, the Orisa makes it so hard to actually finish these fights. Thematic doing a fantastic job of holding on to this point, not letting it take over the way of Sheer Cold, who are trying to regroup with 6 members right now.
And Admiral Raptor is very close to that sound barrier. He could get it, but there's an amplification matrix, and he's down. He's not getting it anytime soon.
No, and with the DPS falling, Ido out of the way, there's not much of a threat to the Orisa anymore. Jaru is well going. Sheer Cold are finally going to take this one their way and take a serious stranglehold over the ultimate economy.
Here, Backbone stays alive as well, and like you mentioned, they have so many ultimates to work with now. There's the Dragon Blade. Unfortunately for Backbone, he's going to have to be throwing that into a Made Blizzard, and Made Blizzard, if you're going up against a Dragon Blade, just throw it on yourself, throw it on the entirety of your team. Everyone kind of just cuddles in the Blizzard, and that Dragon Blade's not going to get too much value, and on top of that, you also have a Coalescence and a Sound Barrier to negate it.
Well, the Dragon Blade might not even get popped. He does manage to get in with it. Backbone looking for the back line. Not able to fulfill his namesake, though only gets one. The Bob going to be helping him out, escorting him in, and putting a stop to this push from Vox Nihili.
And that time, it was really actually nice aggressive play coming out from Sheer Cold. They don't let Vox Nihili set up with their Rust composition. They're the aggressors, and they make the proactive play, which means that Vox Nihili aren't able to use those ultimates to counter the Dragon Blade. So the ultimate economy still working out well for Sheer Cold here, not in dire straits as it would have been if they had thrown everything into that fight. And Vox Nihili, they have to make their ultimates work in this next fight, because it's very close to being together.
It's going to be tricky, but they've managed to close it against him straight into the welcoming arms of a Hulk Gravitic Flux combo. So much damage being thrown the way of Vox Nihili right now, but they have gotten on top of this tank line, and they're going to make things very, very cold, very, very quickly. Vendetta being a monster on this, May denying so much space, and it's going to get Vox Nihili the point tick.
A very expensive fight, though, for Vox Nihili, Dor. I mean, everything just besides the kitchen sink was used in that fight. Both of the support ultimates, the Blizzard as well. Luckily enough, Nat is able to keep a pretty decent charge towards his Coalescence, 63%. The Backbone's coming in. He has that Dragon Blade, and we've seen he can slice and dice him like no one else.
Oh, but Ido falls immediately when they were going for the Death Blossom. Backbone still has a blade, holding it for cleanup duty here as 70% ticks over for either team. It's gonna be Sheer Cold in charge as we're heading into what might just be final fight territory.
That was some really good play and heads-up play from Reford specifically. Once the Death Blossom comes in, Reford's right there, shield bashes it, it gets no value whatsoever. Ido's actually switching over to the Genji now to try and match the damage output coming in from Backbone. Nat has this Coalescence, is the only thing that's going to be able to keep his team alive through this blade from Backbone, and this is last fight territory here, Dor.
It's so hard for Vox to actually push this high ground. They get up there, but they've used so much time doing it. Backbone still has a blade online. That's Coalescence doing a lot of damage, though. It's already cleared the gap. Vox are in where they want to be. The brawl is brawling. Jaru's hammers are swinging, and people are falling on the side of Sheer Cold. Thematic is straight out for Shade. The sustain is less now. Alex picks him up and drops him right back down on the opposing side of point. And that is a major ultimate committed here, as the point's going to tick over to Vox Daily.
I mean, they were able to force out the Blizzard, which is actually so huge in terms of that trade there, because if that Blizzard's available, this ultimate from Backbone most likely gets no value whatsoever. Unfortunately, they are still going into a sound barrier and a supercharger from Vox Nihili, but this blade, it's all that Sheer Cold has to work with. Maybe Shade gets that supercharger, but the blade has to be huge here from Backbone.
Not to mention the fact that Alex can come in on the Wrecking Ball and make it incredibly difficult for Jar to actually get in. No problem for him, though. Takes down Refit immediately. Backbone gets into the back line. Admiral Raptor is going to fall for it. Overtime's ticking down. You need to be sure you're going to touch here, Sheer Cold. They finally push on to the point. Once the Reinhardt's out of the way, there is nothing standing between them and taking this map.
I don't got two, though. This is still going on. Dor, Vendetta gets a kill.
Oh my God.
Well. It's so scrappy. The Coalescence is there. They have the sustain.
There's so much coming online. Vendetta is nearing the pulse bomb as well. If the Tracer is able to stay alive, they can turn the fight. Nats Coalescence picks up 2 as well. Vox Nihili are far from done with this yet. They force him off the point and even up the score 1-1.
I mean, talk about snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, Dor. I mean, that looked completely over. And Sheer Cold was going to take a 1-0 lead going into our second map. But Vox Nihili, Ido, comes in with a huge Dragon Blade, gets 2 kills, and then off the back of that, Nat, really good Coalescence coming out from them to secure the point and to give the sustain to his team and get that fight win. And I think when you talk to me about what do Vox Nihili need to change in this composition, I think adding the Moira has been extremely good for them instead of the Brigitte. Brigitte's still very good, but for these types of compositions where you want to be brawling, you want to be rushing, Moira does so well at keeping your team alive and farming up that Coalescence quickly.
And you know, ye old saying, if it ain't broke, Kenobi, do not fix it. Ido back over to the Reaper, which is a curious pick here. They want to be going full brawl as things get a little up close and personal here at University. Immediately off into the side room goes Sheer Cold, but Ido likes closed spaces with those shotguns doing so much damage. Jaru making his way forward, trying to peel for his DPS, but things get dicey when the walls get involved. Vendetta looking for the perfect opportunity to use it. In fact, the Sigma not completely out of position. Doesn't go down. It's a teammate who pays for it. Thematic and Nat fall. It's 2 for 2. The fight just as scrappy as ever, but Jaru falls, and with that, the entirety of the tank line here for Vox Nihili has been dismantled.
Ido's still the only one alive on point. He does get the kill onto the Orisa, but he's going to go down in the DPS prevail from Sheer Cold. The point still hasn't flipped just yet, but it should be Sheer Cold eventually getting... Actually, no, sorry. It has flipped by mistake, but there isn't a re-engage coming in from Vox Nihili.
No team is putting on the brakes right now. Both of them going at it with everything. The first ultimate on Lino will be Nat's Coalescence. No, Backbone's got a Blizzard already. How on earth do you have that? Vox Nihili is stuck in a winter wonderland, and A will clean it up more than happily here. Backbone not able to get nearly as much value off that Blizzard as they thought they would. It's about finishing off the kills now, though. Thematic doing their best to stay alive through the choke. Loser cannot have that LOS onto his tanks that they may be wanting. The Bob isn't able to touch the point. It's going to flip over to Vox Nihili.
And Sheer Cold actually committing a lot of ultimates to the fight that probably weren't needed. Bob was committed there, as well as the Amplification Matrix after the fight seemed to be lost. And you can see in that last fight how much value specifically that the Moira is getting. The Blizzard comes out, but no one dies inside of it because of a really good Coalescence from Nat. And now Vox Nihili is the one in the driver's seat here. There's the Blizzard, but a nice wall section, some members off.
Yeah, this Blizzard found absolutely nothing, Kenobi. This is now a free re-engage for Sheer Cold. You've avoided the worst of it. Now you can try and re-engage, peel away with this Gravitic Fox beautifully, might I add, by Alex, stopping the Brawl from moving in. Now they can go in with ultimates of their own, with damage of their own to try and put it in. The focusing beam from Grathen will find one, find the second out of the sky here. The Echo going to work on the first life. Sheer Cold should be able to take this one back and over their favor.
And I actually really like this decision from Sheer Cold specifically to change into this Echo. It offers a lot of poke damage and projectile damage against things that are on the ground. And realistically, from Vox and Nihili's side, they didn't have anything to deal with it. Now Ido has made the switch over to the McCree, so you're losing a little bit more of that self-sustain that you would have if you have something like the Reaper in these Brawls compositions. And it's specifically to deal with Grathen in the air. Duplicate is coming online for him as well. He's got it now. Expect here to see probably a Reinhardt or an Orisa switch to get either a huge shatter or a really nice supercharger.
Yeah, no, things get so difficult for Vox and Nihili. When you're playing Reinhardt and Reinhardt, you want to brawl, but you also don't want to brawl into the opposing team's 3 tanks. The Duplicate should be coming online relatively soon. No, Graphic gets taken out of the sky. Ido stops immediately. Jaru with health bars dropping dangerously, though, and they will fall for an Amplification Matrix thrown out by Sheer Cold just to make sure they can keep those tanks alive. Very smart heads-up play from Lucer there, but it's not enough. All the healing in the world is not going to save you from Vox and Nihili once they close that distance.
Yeah, Ido's switch here onto the McCree has worked wonders. You mentioned it right there. Grathen gets taken out before Duplicate can even be committed to that fight door, and then it's just done and dusted from there. He does have it for this next fight, and Vox and Nihili did commit some of those ultimates, mainly the Supercharger coming from Thematic, but they're looking pretty good in their ultimate economy, and if they win this next fight, and depending on how long it's going to go, and in Brawl they go very long, this could be the fight that they need to win the entire map and take us to that second map at a 1-0 lead.
We're getting into a decider fight. Nat is almost going to have that Coalescence online, which could be the decider the same exact way it was in the previous point. They're going to use it to engage. They're already in on the back line. The Bongo doesn't last that long. The Gratic Flux However will picking up all of Vox and Nihili, dropping them down into their own blizzard, but everybody's caught in this maze. Ultimate Thematic cleaning on up with the help of Vox and Nihili. Point taking over to 99%. Only a couple members of Sheer Cold on the point left, but there's not much they can do as Vox and Nihili are here to play.
There's the sound barrier as well. This is just done and dusted right now. Vox Nihili gonna win this map or take us to a 1-0 victory, and basically in a situation where we didn't even expect it after that second map. It looked like Sheer Cold had it in the bag.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything after that previous map. There's a chance they find their way on the point here. Do they take overtime? You know what? Good on you. You did it one more time, but it's definitely not enough for Sheer Cold. The target focus from Vox and Nihili has been especially good so far, making sure this overtime lasts not as long as it probably should be. Sheer Cold not able to pull it out. Vox and Nihili, though, with some ridiculous compositional swaps, are able to clutch out the map.
Yeah, I think they had some really good adaptation, and that's really what I liked from Vox Nihili specifically, is that whenever Sheer Cold was making a change or whenever Vox Nihili's composition wasn't working out well, you know, they had the Brigade at the start, wasn't really working with their rush composition, they switched to the Moira. When Grathen's going on to things like the Echo, and then Ido says, okay, I'm just going to play McCree, so Echo really doesn't get any value. I think those changes, specifically from Vox Nihili, really helped them win that first map, and they're on their way to winning. They're on their way already one map towards winning this series, and we'll have to see what it looks like in this map too, which I believe is going to be Junkertown. But Door, that last second map where we saw that comeback, like that could have very easily been Sheer Cold winning that map, and then they're the ones in front. But that is some insane clutch play coming out from Ido.
So far, this match has been everything we want it to be, but let's go back to Vox and Nihili, because they continue to surprise us with these team compositions. Let's go way back in the history books here. Vox and Nihili, traditionally a team that very much enjoyed playing dive. They get their new roster for this season. They swap a little bit over to dive, but they're incredibly good at the double shield, especially with Visility's Dragon Blades backing them. Now you take Visility out of the team, you insert a player like Thematic, and things change yet again. Now they're playing just completely custom compositions, it seems. Bench made to try and counter everything Sheer Cold are doing. And so what this kind of raises is a question of practice versus adaptation, right? You can adjust to the opposing team, or you can play what you know. It seems like Vox and Nihili definitely favor the latter. Sheer Cold are going to be offering up some more meta compositions, though. And as we head on to Junkertown, what do you think that meta composition is, and how do you think Vox and Nihili are going to look to counter it?
Well, I think Fox Nihili, the thing that, based on what I'm looking at in their questionnaire that we have for their team, is that thematic, his best characters, his favorite character, at least best hero, is Orisa. And for, I think that in the composition that they want to play on that first map, Orisa really fit into that rush type of style where you can play like Ryan Orisa. It has seen some prevalence in those rush types of compositions. And for Sheer Cold, I think you can continue to stick to the meta. You just have to adapt to what Vox Nihili is adapting to. It's kind of like a game of rock, paper, scissors, right? Where, okay, they're going to go scissors. Now we have to switch our game and we have to try and do something else. Because Sheer Cold, they made some adaptations, but it was always Vox Nihili who had the adaptation that won them that series. Ido on the McCree to deal with the Echo, Nat going to Moira to help with the rush composition. It seems like Vox Nihili was a step ahead every time in terms of those adaptations.
Yeah, when it comes to changing, you always want to be in the driver's seat. You never want to be the team that's actually adapting. So Vox and Nihili is effectively changing their compositions ahead of time, slightly before Sheer Cold are able to get their own swaps. And it feels like Sheer Cold also are very uncomfortable on this. They look like playing advantageous heroes and hero matchups. They're also putting Sheer Cold way out of their comfort zone.
Which is weird too, because it seems like for Sheer Cold, at least from what I remember casting them a while ago, is that they do, this should be a meta where they really like double shield. Alex is on the Sigma. I think it's his probably best hero. Backbone, I think, is a very competent Genji and Shade, very competent Orisa in their own right. So for Sheer Cold, they should realistically be a meta that they're pretty good at, but you were right, where it's the adaptations. They're playing a little bit more reactionary, where Vox Nihili is the one who's being proactive in a lot of these moments, in a lot of these team fights, and switching those compositions. So for this one, for Vox Nihili on this map specifically, obviously Junkertown, Widowmakers love this map. Obviously, it's just been one of those maps that throughout the entirety that's been around, Widowmaker, Double Sniper, all of those things, you have those really good sight lines. So look out for the battle between Ido and Grathen. We saw a little bit of a preview of that in our last map. We'll see a different preview, this time the one-on-one between the two Widowmakers.
As well, a big thing to watch is how much space their teams actually make for them, right? You can already see Backbone on the right side here. He's not trying to farm ultimates. He's trying to deny space from Ido, who wants to move around this side of the map. Eventually, though, you're just going to have to give that up as the card progresses.
Yeah, I like that Backbone's actually doing this, sticking on the right side here, meaning Ido can't get on those flanks that Widowmakers sometimes like to do in these situations. I mean, you see Ido hasn't really done anything, probably his passive ult charge at the current moment, but Pingu is going in right now with the Genji. Immortality Field is forced, that's a big cooldown.
They've gotten themselves into a really good position here. Actually opened up the doors. Now Ido can actually start working their way around the side, take an off angle on the rest of this team, and start going to town. Both shields set up at the health bars, dangerously low. Vendetta pops right back up and pops down Backbone. Now it's all up to Grathen to deal out the DPS. But as the numbers wane, it's getting increasingly difficult here for Sheer Cold to try and hold on to A.
And that was actually really well played from Vox Nihili. They know that the Genji isn't with the rest of the composition of Sheer Cold, so they make a rotation through the Mega Health Room, and they say, we're going to take you on. We have our Genji. We have more DPS than you do in this current fight, and they win it. Backbone, little bit over-aggressive. They're not going to be able to stall the Carl. I mean, hey, sometimes Genji in my ranks game, they think they can also 1v6. It's, it happens when you're on that character.
You get the Genji goggles on, and it just starts happening.
I like that. Genji goggles? That sounds good. I think that's what I'm going to call it from now on. The ability when you think you can 1v6 as a Genji, you got the Genji goggles on.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to need a little bit more than 1v6 right now. The only ultimate online for Vox Nihili that can really end this fight in one swift motion is going to be Pingu's Blade.
Pingu's got the blade. But Sheer Cold, they know where everyone is right now, so Vox Nihili can't really aggress just yet. Backbone also has the blade, so does Pingu. The only difference is that Admiral Raptor is going to have the rally ahead of time, and this is a really nice play using it aggressively.
And the rally gets them in, gets Pingu into the back line, flashes through one, gives them a one-man advantage. You're trading Brig for Brig, though, and now it's Backbone's turn. In comes the blade, flashes through into the hallway. The Attrition's gonna miss. It's drawn out so much utility from Vox Nihili, but not enough to get the frag.
And throughout the entirety of this, the cart has not been moving, or it's actually starting to move backwards. Now, finally, someone gets back onto the cart. But that fight really is it worth it if you didn't get that much cart progression? If they were on the cart during that entire thing, they'd probably get it all the way towards second point. But now Sheer Cold is going to be able to get a recontest here. And they do have the rally armor to sustain. Backbone can't die, though.
Yeah, he's got to be a little careful. You don't need to be getting the Genji goggles right now, you know? It's the perfect time for the saying. He doesn't need them. Throw them away. You've got an amplification matrix to try and stop them, though. If you're box dealing, they're going to use it immediately, denying all that space. Backbone look for the 1v1. Only catches a deflect, though, as Pingu's back in. Idle trying to take his head off of his shoulders. Found the sight line, does a Widowmaker, no, runs away at just the perfect time. The double shield set up, though, and Sheer Cold are going to be incredibly hard to dissuade from holding this mission, because now they've got a bongo, they've got amp damage, and they found themselves a pick onto Admiral Raptor.
Pingu does get the pick onto Grafton, so it's an even 5v5 right now, but they have to sustain on the side of Sheer Cold here. Vox and Nihili not leaving just yet, poking as much as they can, doing some nice poke damage as well.
And this fight is dead even. Neither team really wants to break the neutral. It's kind of a classic EU matchup, but that is going to break it into pieces. The Gravitic Flux catches absolutely everybody. Great amplification matrix, though, amping up the healing. All of that splash is hitting everybody. Sheer Cold, by the god hand of Looser, has kept them alive.
Sheer Cold, that was insane peel coming out from their DPS, from Looser and from Refid as well. Refid specifically negating a lot of the value from the blade from Pingu. Same with Looser, a beautifully placed Immortality Field. Saves Sheer Cold's bacon throughout that fight, and they are able to stop the bleeding a little bit. 2 minutes left for Vox Nihili to get back onto this payload and push it past second. Backbone's going to have the blade this time. No blade on the other side for Pingu. No rally as well. They should be a really well-placed blade right now.
Oh, they might not even need the blade. Immortality Field can use. There's so much damage being thrown away on Vox and Helion. Off sheer ultimate advantage, Sheer Cold, they're going to try and set themselves ahead, although putting yourself into the hallway, not exactly where you want to be when there's so much splash damage being thrown around. Things are getting a little dangerous, but they should be able to clean this up.
And I talked about the blade being one of the win conditions in the last fight, but actually I really like the fact that Alex used his Gravitic Flux and they didn't really commit anything else. They just used the Flux. They know that they can win. Raw Genji damage, slicing and dicing through those members that are low health is enough, so they are able to just win off the back of only one ultimate that's really good for their ultimate economy. And with a minute left for Vox and Nihili and where the spawns are for them, you're going to get 1, maybe 2 shots left at this door.
And most importantly, it's also going to allow the Super Blade to come online. He immediately runs into the backline. Shay doesn't get the Supercharge up, but you don't even need it. Backbone gets to slice through everybody, willingly putting themselves into a small room with a very, very hungry Shimada. Brother Ido is maybe going to get 1 for his troubles, but at low HP, finishing off. Backbone is going to look for the hold here. 50 seconds ticking down. Kenobi, it's not looking great for Vox Nihili.
Yeah, you don't need a supercharger. If everyone's just in a clumped up room like that, those swipes are going to get so much value along with the dashes. And we're in last fight territory right now here. Door, Super Blade is available for Vox Nihili. That is their win condition right now, comboed along with this Gravitic Flux. And if that doesn't work, they are getting held right here before second.
I mean, for me, it's eyeballing Looser to be the man to deny all this. The amplification matrix can be thrown out, and they're using it aggressively, looking for a peek here instead of peel, and they get it! The accretion connects on to Vendetta! Now you're down a tank. There's nothing to stop it when the bongo comes down and the Gravitic Flux comes out. Things are gonna get very, very dicey here for Vox Nihili very, very quickly. The bongo drop, they're trying to get aggressive, get that cart pressure going. Halt into the Gravitic Flux. There's so much being thrown in here. Sheer Cold have played the defense beautifully, rolled the ultimate advantage all the way into a point B hold, and now they've got to match it on the attack.
I mean, Alex completely clutches up the end of this round here on Junkertown and that attack from Vox Nihili. That accretion killing Vendetta. Vendetta was at 99% to that Gravitic Flux. Once that tank goes down, there's only 10 seconds left. He's not getting back to the cart in time. Alex then hits a huge halt flux as well. And it's just Sheer Cold clutching it up with those members. And that's something that I think Sheer Cold actually has had in the past, is the ability to have clutch players, right? Backbone has done it a few times. Alex, specifically on Sigma, has always had these really good moments on that hero and those really clutch moments. And you saw a bit of it there at the end of Vox Nihili's attack. And now for Sheer Cold, a win condition is set for them. Basically just get it to second and you're going to tie this series up 1-1.
Yeah, this push though is not unmatchable, and it's not exactly the easiest thing to make either. When you're playing double shield and double shield, these fights can just take millennia Kenobi, just shredding time off the clock. So there's a really good opportunity for Vox and Nihili to come in, go for a little bit of an earlier hold, and the longer they can hold A here is going to exponentially increase their chances at being able to hold on to this map.
Yeah, this is definitely still a winnable situation for Vox and Nihili. It's not unheard of to be held or full held on this map or hold it just halfway through the streets phase of this matchup. But again, gonna be looking out for how Ido and Pingu play this first one, because they seem to set up some sort of crossfire on their offense. On the defense, I think it might be playing a little different. They're gonna have to be a little bit more clumped up, and we're gonna have to see who gets the good amount of value with either shurikens or the Widowmaker bullets.
And this time the lane is a lot more open if Grathen chooses to take this left side. It's not being defended by Pingu the same way that Backbone was doing it earlier. So Ido, you can expect a lot more value to come out of these Widowmakers. The duel is going to matter so much more because you know exactly what Grathen is looking for. Neither team, though, really wants to break this truce.
Oh, we're seeing Backbone actually go very deep into the back line, and he's going to lose this 1v1 against Pingu here. That's going to be some time knocked off the clock. Actually, he gets the Mega, but I think it still should be over. This should be Backbone going down right now.
This is one of the most awkward 1v1s I've ever watched, Kenobi.
Oh my god.
Ido cleans it up. All right. Well, he's got a one-man advantage going into this fight. The question is, can they even push? It's not like they have something like a Lucio to choose that engage for them. Sheer can just wait for that spawn and then go in off the back of that. In fact, the Hulk cooldown is still there. So is the damage. They've still got the Sigma. They're not going to stop this cart from moving forward anytime soon.
I mean, even though it looked a little bit wonky there, Backbone took a lot of time away from the DPS, and it was just allowing Sheer Cold to push onto the cart. They've already gotten it all the way just almost close to that checkpoint. Backbone getting extremely low. Can't go down here.
Well, and Matrix gets used a great deflect, stopping a lot of the damage, and now it's the Amplification Matrix into the heal again here from Nat, keeping the tanks alive. Great stun, though, cancels the Gravitic Flux. Now another one to Vendetta. Nobody is to use their ultimates right about now. Instead, it's Pingu who dashes through Rapid, gets himself a nice little reset, and now needs to look to clean up the rest of the health bars of Sheer Cold, who just refused to die.
The Sigma say anything you can do, I can do better. Another huge accretion from Alex. He has another Flux. Excuse me?
How the hell do you have that? Immortality Field's finally been forced out of Vox Nihili here. The doors have opened for Sheer Cold. They're trying to make their way onto the end, but Pingu's got other plans. The Blade comes in, cleans up too, just like it did over on Oasis. And we've got 2 minutes on the clock, Kenobi.
Alex is trying his absolute hard out there. I mean, 2 Fluxes that close together. Insanity coming out from the second player, but it's not enough. And Sheer Cold have to go back to the drawing board here. Super Blade is available for them, and on the other side, there's only just the Supercharger, no Blade to combo along with it. And here comes the fight.
It's pretty standard looks here. Amplification makes zone a very awkward position. They're not even putting much damage in on the back of that. Bongo into the Blade here, but Backbone has to just hold his trigger finger while the rest of his team doesn't work, because there's so much utility that got used towards them that they had nothing else to stop the tank line from moving forward.
And we see, this Earth is actually going to stagger a little bit, so Thematic goes down. Finally, Sheer Cold can take a breath. They got first cap, and they're going to start moving through that streets phase. Used the Super Blade, so they aren't going to have it for this next fight. Pingu, not necessarily that close to his own Dragon Blade, so it's not the worst case scenario right now for Sheer Cold in terms of the enemy's ultimate economy. And Alex, again, I mean, so close to another Flux. I think he's lapped Vendetta by this point. And if another one of these Fluxes come out, these whole Fluxes have been so crisp and clean, Admirab's going to have to be forced to use that rally preemptively.
Yeah, it's turned the Gravitic Flux into almost a guaranteed fight-winning ultimate for Sheer Cold. At the rate that they hit the halt into Gravitic Flux and the way they follow up the damage, it is ridiculous. Backbone searching for this Widowmaker, finally finds Ido, gets himself a nice little mine, dropping both players low, but it's finally going to be the Widowmaker going down. That opens up the door for Backbone to go in without problems. That is, if he can get through all of that rally armor. Another canceled Gravitic Flux here! He just doesn't get to play the game! No matter how many he gets, he's not going to get to use them. Vendetta pops one up. Who knows, this one might get canceled as well. No, finally will go through here. Sheer Cold on the back foot, forced out their Immortality Field, and Vox Nihili can look to try and snowball this fight off that.
There's the Blades. Both Blades coming in from both Genjis. Pingu gets Backbone, though. That's no Blade. That's a 3K for Pingu. Make it 4 off the back end. Give him 5. There it is. 6?
Oh, 6-man!
Nice 6-man from Pingu. Once he kills the other Genji, it's all over from there. And Pingu and Vox Nihili can take a small little breath here. They've managed to get that defense. Pingu's got something nice to put in his highlight reel. Put some nice dubstep next to it. You know, it'll look a little bit good.
I mean, I think that play in and of itself is a work of art. Vox and Nihili now need to find another way to defend. You can't rely on those blades every single time. And now you've got a couple of ultimates that are going to buy you time, but not buy you victories nearly as often. They can kind of just walk out of LOS of both of these, often dropping them down on the low ground. Both tanks taken exceptionally low here, not holding onto the amplification matrix to hold them up for later. It is last fight territory here with a minute 30 on the clock. The bongo's been used. They don't find anything off it though. The halt, the accretion, everything's thrown in by Vox Nihili, but none of it's made worth it.
And Ido has made the switch over to Tracer because they're going to be harassing that backline. Can't go down here, though, a little bit low. Both of the supercharging ultimates have gone down for both of these teams, but Alex and Vendetta close to their gravitic fluxes. If they don't get stunned out, they could be big, but Grappling goes down.
Oh, Pingu's done it again. This Genji does not stop. Vendetta now has a charge up gravitic flux here. If he can just get it through, you're looking at another fight-winning ultimate online. The rally, there's so much sustain on the side of Vox Nihili.
And only 50 seconds left for Sheer Cold Door. Waiting patiently for everyone to get back in. This is the last chance that they're going to get here. Flux is the biggest ultimate they have currently. But in that time, Pingu and Backhone Bone could both get their blades. Ido also has a pulse bomb, and that goes under the back line. It could end this fight before it even starts.
I'm getting the feeling we're about to see some dueling dragons here in a moment. Backbone still doesn't have that blade up, and that's worrying when you're running into the welcoming arms of Pingu, whose blades have been massive the entire night. And they're again in the corridor. The gravitic flux looks to pick him up, slam him down, half HP, no immortality field to their name. It opens up the door for Pingu. In he comes, slicing and dicing his way through their health bars, but Alex finds two with another gravitic flux. Sheer Gold have done it off of the back of their Sigma defense attack. This guy does it all. Alex clutches out the round for Sheer Cold.
Alex, when the world needed him most, when Sheer Cold needed him most, he was there and basically caps off this map with an incredible Sigma gravitic flux. I mean, what else would you expect from someone who's playing Sigma at this current level? It is just absolutely insane how much value he was getting. I mean, he had 2 gravitic fluxes in like a minute. That was nuts Sigma play coming out from Alex there, and that's what I expect from him.
And you know what's crazy to me is I think even though he had about half of his gravitic fluxes canceled, I think he still got more than Vendetta.
He lapped him. He lapped him in that map.
I think
in that
multiple
match. Like,
times.
that was just a complete difference in Sigma play there.
Mm-hmm. Now as we head into our next map, it's going to be Temple of Anubis, so things change up a little bit. But the one thing I want to point out is the fact that Vox and Nihili aren't exactly having the same success when they can't change their composition. When you go to maps that have much more set strategies that kind of have these meta compositions that everybody's expecting, all of a sudden things change. You can't force them into these awkward positions. You can't put Sheer Cold on the back foot. You can't drive the car anymore. It's all about who's just better at the meta. And Sheer Cold, it seems that's pretty much what they've practiced bit for bit.
Yeah, I think in the mirror specifically, Sheer Cold looks a lot better in the Genji poke mirror than they did when it was like poke versus rush, right? Like against the rush combo Vox and Nihili, Sheer Cold had a little bit of an issue. When we go to Temple of Anubis as our next map after this break, I wonder how we're going to see that rush composition, if it's going to come back from Vox and Nihili, or if they're going to continue to just play the mirror.
Well, you're unfortunate for you, Kenobi. Breaks are overrated. We're going to hop straight into it. And now the compositions, like you said, are pretty standardized on this map. However, it opens up the door for some very interesting things. Whether that's going to be something like a Torbjorn, you can run the Mei, you can also run a Junkrat here. And I think this is kind of the perfect little mix for both of these teams. It offers up the double shield option to Sheer Cold, but it also offers up some different meta compositions for Vox and Nihili to start playing around with.
Yeah, you can also play the rush that's I was talking about from Vox and Nihili, where it looks like their best composition, right? When they played rush, it looked really good, really decisive as well. And they weren't really in the issues of having Sigma versus Sigma, where Alex has just been really on another level than Vendetta has. Not to say Vendetta has played poorly, but Alex is playing at a certain level where it's just like, I'm getting lapped in gravitic flux charge. He's stunning me out of my gravitic fluxes. And like you mentioned, where even Alex just had more of them. So in that mirror composition, when Sigma's getting that insane amount of value, I wonder how that looks when you look at Vox and Nihili compared to when they played that rush comp.
Yeah, the rush composition seems to be a lot more comfortable for them, but on the attack specifically here, they're not going for it. And this is kind of the one spot that they had the opportunity to do it, right?
Yeah, this is where actually I would, I mean, also second, you can play it because it's in a very enclosed area. But if they're playing this on A and they're going on this attack, this tells me that they aren't going to play rush that much for the rest of this map. They are going to be opting for the defense is going to be opting for the May, obviously on Temple of Anubis, where you can basically just make the opponent's life miserable by not letting them go through choke points and walling off members, sectioned off members from themselves and getting kills that way. So we're going to have to see how they're going to play around this May wall from Vox and Nihili is sheer cold when they go on this offensive.
And these fights are going to happen in stages, all based around that wall cooldown. Making it through the choke entirely based on wall and surviving it. Making it through the second choke in the Mega Room, all based on wall and surviving. But if they can get past there, they are in a fantastic position to try and take this map.
They've already circumvented the wall a little bit. Actually I actually like this a lot. They're making another rotation. They baited the rotation, and Backbone goes in and assassinates Ido. So smart from sheer cold.
Oh, they didn't have a clue what was coming for him, and now Vox Nihili can go for the collapse. Can go open things up right onto Grathan. There's no damage left for sheer cold to try and push in with. They're doing it sans Ash, but when you don't have the damage, you don't have the picks. This competition loses all of its legs. You don't have the Dynamis to throw into the halt, and Backbone can just start farming your back line with Shuriken. So much ultimate charge being given the way of Vox Nihili, but sheer cold looked like they might just clutch this one out.
I mean, that was so unbelievably smart from sheer cold. They bait that they're going to be going through dark, and then they don't. They go through low ground. They rotate directly onto the point. Backbone goes in, assassinates Ido. That means Ido isn't in that fight at all. And like you mentioned, no dynamite in those enclosed areas, not getting a lot of value. And now Alex has the flux. Backbone has that Dragon Blade supercharger close as well. This is very snowballable for sheer cold, and Vox and Nihili have to be very careful.
Snow potential, like you said, it's out of this world right now. They need to end this fight to end it now, though. Don't let the ultimates come up for Vox Nihili. They're starting on with the Implication Matrix. It's going to buy them time. It's going to buy them ultimates, but you can't avoid the Great Flux. Alex not getting this one canceled out. Forces out the Immortality Field and drops those health bars way low. Ido falls again, like you said, Kenobi. There's no dynamite to help out. Backbone's play doesn't find all that much value, but it will trade out for Admiral Raptor. Vendetta trading that kill. All Pingu can do is throw down a wall and pray that they get spawns on in time, because sheer cold don't look like they're stopping anytime soon.
There's a supercharger as well. So much damage coming out from sheer cold, and this is just a master class of how to play Anubis. 4 minutes and 45 seconds they're looking at right now as the clock starts ticking and the control meter starts ticking.
All the contest is pretty good here for Vox Nihili. They come in on the Wrecking Ball. They come in on the Winston. They don't get the Blizzard off because Alex is a goddamn monster on the Sigma. Sheer cold are not letting anything slip through their fingers right now.
I mean, Alex, what more can this man do to carry? The staggers are still coming through. It is Anubis' second point, but I think it's just a matter of time before the Overwatch or the overtime spawns are too much for Vox and Nihili to handle, and the kills are going to come through. There's 2 ticks. We're looking at third soon.
Grathan's finally done it. Finds the last one with the coach gun. Sheer cold with a very impressive 4-minute time bank, might I add. Make it to the end of the map. I mean, it is 100% Alex. In the backline, I mean, the Gravitic Flux to open things up, forces out Immortality Field, catches like 4 people. It's ungodly the amount of work that this guy's doing. The Accretion connects, you even eat the Blizzard. I'm genuinely trying to think of what else this guy can do, but he has clutched out every single play possible.
Yeah, Alex is playing out of his mind right now on the Sigma role specifically, and based on what I've seen from him in the past, it's kind of to be expected. He is arguably one of the best Sigmas in this type of region, in this, Contenders trials, Contenders, EMEA. He has just been on another level today against Vox Nihili, and they just don't know how to deal with him at this current moment. They don't know, Vendetta, my heart goes out to him because he's playing up against someone who is just playing at such a high level that he's like, almost like, what do you do? I'm stunning him out of his Gravitic Fluxes, but still even then, it's just not enough. And one person I want to give credit to as well is Shade. Shade has done an excellent job so far, giving halts that basically make these gravitic fluxes huge. And their combination between him and Alex has really made this play from Alex even better than it is than just himself.
Well, this time we get to talk a little bit about Vox Nihili's offense. They're going to be keeping the Mei for the attack. Meanwhile, Sheer Cold going full meta.
Yeah, so that's a huge dynamite.
That was a nice
dynamite. That's 40%. Actually, so this is actually good for Vox Nihili because of the fact that now you're going to be able to farm up your amplification matrix really quickly. Look at Nat, already at 64%. He's going to have it for this fight. And then you can go, rotate through Dark, put it right at the entryway of this chokehold here, and just pump out so much damage. But if it doesn't work, you've basically foregoed your ultimate economy for about 2 minutes.
This is one of the best opportunities to use the amplification matrix. But like you said, if they miss it, they are out of this ultimate game. Sheer Cold are so much further in the lead in every other regard. In fact, Grafton might just have the Bob online to try and counter. Amp Matrix is thrown out. So much damage thrown their way. Pingu takes down Alex, the clutch player. Now gone, now taken away from the side of Sheer Cold. Backbone needs to get into the backline, start dealing with these early, but so timid are Sheer Cold. They don't want to press any buttons. They're going to back off and try and wait for this spawn.
Yeah, they're waiting. There's the Bob, so they can do something to commit, but Backbone goes down to Vendetta, and I think this push might be over. With Grafton going down, it certainly is, and the gamble for Vox Nihili completely pays off their door. They think that they're going to be able to get the amplification matrix in time before the Bob. They do. They get a kill with it, and now they can start their snowball onto the second point with about 5.5 minutes to do so. But they don't have a lot of ultimates to work with. That's the only issue right now, is they won that fight a little bit too cleanly. As weird as that is to say, Sheer Cold has the advantage now with all their ultimate economy.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it exactly a snowball, especially when you're playing against someone like Sheer Cold, who, due to their namesake, very, very used to. What is Refid doing back here? Did he just fall? I think he just fell. Okay. Yeah, he's going to regroup with the rest of his team. They're perfectly fine.
And sometimes it happens, you lose track of your footing.
He slips, falls, but it's not going to be costing him quite yet. Holding this position on the bridge, trying to deny value from the opposing team's Mei. Pingu looking to make their way in, but nobody getting separated away by the walls. Vox Nihili don't have a way in. Backbone does, however, forces out a ton of utility from Vox Nihili. If they can find the right engage here, Sheer Cold could end this.
Vendetta is going to have that gravitic flexion. It has to be comboed here with a halt from Thematic, and Nat, again, has that amplification matrix. We saw how well it worked on first point. Let's see how it works here.
Well, they didn't have ultimates when they were coming in, but by golly, Kenobi, they've got ultimates now. They've spent just enough time in the side room, and Shade is dropping incredibly low. Immortality feels forced out. Alex with another gravitic flux takes down Vendetta, looking to clutch it out again. Immortality's getting way, way too late there by Nat to keep the rest of the team alive. Thematic dropping dangerously low on the Orisa, bopped right out of the sight lines, but there's no Immortality field left for Sheer Cold. Nothing to stop this Blizzard from going to town, and Admiral Raptor with 3 in the kill feed on the Brigitte is going to close out this point with a matched time bank for Vox Nihili.
Admiral Raptor just played tank right there. He just, Reinhardt swinging that mace around, not dying, has the rally going, proc and inspire, and no one can deal with him. And I really like that play from Vox Nihili specifically at the start of it, where they said, we're going to take a ton of damage here, then we're going to amplification matrix, and then we're going to go in. And then they played it patiently. They know that they don't have an ultimate advantage. They see the blade come out, Backbone gets no value, and then they continue to just accrue their ultimate percentage until they have an even one to Sheer Cold, and then it just comes down to mechanics. And also the fact that Vox Nihili has a Mei, and Sheer Cold does not, which means that on the point specifically, you're not gonna do well against the Mei Blizzard. You're just going to die. Or
yeah, Immortality field now, if they're only going to save you so much. But with even time banks, how do you think this affects the Mei? Pingu's pick is going to stay online here, and this is very good at taking time off that clock.
Yeah, I wonder how, again, if they're going to do that same, if Sheer Cold might do the thing that Vox Nihili did, where they take a lot of damage at the start and then just get looser his amplification matrix quickly, because Ido is on that Ashe. They can't probably do the okie doke again. I don't think it's going to work. It's very much a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. It's not going to work. So I think this time they probably do a rotate through Dark, and then they wait for the Mei walls and have to play around that a little bit safer than they did in that first round.
Yeah, no surprises here from Sheer Cold. They're out of tricks up their sleeve. They've got to do it the old-fashioned way. Obviously, there's still an option for them to go with it, but I don't think Vox Nihili, like you said, are going to be falling for it yet again. This is the big choice we see, though. into the side room. Nope, Maywall says no. And like we said earlier, Pingu is going to make their life a living hell. However, they now have 10 seconds where that Maywall isn't online. They want to blitz their way through this choke point ASAP, Kenobi, but they've waited too long. The wall's back online. They've got to do it difficult. And with Pingu moving in, the wall connects, blocks off the heels, and it is just pure lights going on the screen right here. Sheercold are trying to get through this choke point, but can't find the cracks.
And Sheercold has already taken a minute off of their clock, so they have to make something happen soon. Not a lot of ultimates to talk about, except for Nat's Amplification Matrix. He has it first, and it could cause a lot of damage to Sheercold.
Absolutely, Sheercold Force back. The timer is ticking even lower, Kenobi.
We're waiting patiently. Looser now is going to have the Amplification Matrix on their side. Vox Nihili is going to have to play carefully around it. Probably going to have to forego this high ground.
And that's the real problem. They do set up. They do manage to take Vox Nihili off of it. But now you've got to close in on the point. Everything with Double Shield just takes so much time. And time is not on their side. If Backbone can get the blade up, though, you're looking at an ultimate that can be comboed. Amplification Matrix thrown out for good measure. Going to make sure they have the sightlines to work with. They can take out the Ashe. It would be great for them. But Vox Nihili holds stalwart on the point, not giving up anything. Finally, Theo falls. The crack's been found, and the wall has been opened. Backbone comes in, looking to clean up. Immortality Field is going to be keeping alive for the time being, but not much longer than that. Good shield bash by Admiral Raptor takes him down. The health bars are all at half, and Vox Nihili are running out of tools to do this one with. They have to see the DPS glitch out here.
And the respawns are so much closer for Sheercold. There's a flux from Alex. Bobs are committed. I don't get to pick on the Grathen. That might be something that changes the tides of this fight.
Yeah, with the Bob now being gone, Grathen has a way back into this fight, has the sightlines, can continue to throw dynamite into the back row, and Admiral Raptor has to play tank yet again here, making the way onto the point. Vendetta comes in with a late Gravitic Flux, gets himself a nice little two-piece dinner, puts down one, Backbone falls, Sheercold. The spawns may not be enough, there's tanks on point, the health pool is getting larger and larger for Vox Nihili.
Ido is just shooting here, trying to get some picks. Grathen gets two, and the point goes over to Sheercold. And now Sheercold can rush towards that second point right now. They have the Amplification Matrix to work with that. That's all they're going to have. And Pingu is sitting there with a Blizzard. So any attempt to get onto this point should be stopped by the main Blizzard from Pingu.
Emphasis on should there. You're looking at a player that has made every clutch play. Alex can do it again, and we can know he'll do it again. Blizzard's dropped on a point because they know overtime is ticking down. Shade has no option but to run straight into it. Admiral Rats are cleaning up, and Alex, again, twice in the kill feed. He's got the point. They're starting to tick it up. All this percentage matters so much. The sweep lands. The ticks are going over. Backbone's cleaning up. Sheercold have pulled this one out even without a main tank, Kenobi.
Ido gets the kill on the Looster. That's some healing that's going to be down, but Refit is still there. Procking Inspire. Alex hits another accretion. What else do you expect from this man? So good? And Sheercold, 4 caps. Vox Nihili. I mean, how much do we have to sing Alex's praises, Dor? It seems like every time we're on a POV, every time we see someone in the kill feed, it's Alex, Alex, Alex all the time. And this man is on a mission to make sure Sheercold win this matchup.
I mean, this guy single-handedly looks like the guy who can take Sheercold back into contenders. And if he continues in this form, I mean, God knows how high he can go. He's not out of the woods yet, though, as Vox Nihili have a similar time bank, and we know they're capable of matching this pace.
They are, especially after how that first round went, where they capped pretty convincingly and had about 5 minutes and 30 seconds to work with going into that second point. So, very doable for Vox Nihili. But a gutsy performance coming out from Sheercold in that last round. And I wonder if we're going to see the same thing again that we saw in the first attack for Vox Nihili, where they take a lot of the damage from the Ashe Dynamite. And the question then becomes, does Grathen actually use that Dynamite? Does he take the gamble to know that he's going to lose? If on the other side, Nat is going to get that Amplification Matrix. Do I risk it just for the alt charge? And is it going to be worth it? We'll have to see as these two teams come out of their first... Or, well, not their first. Their second defense for second defense for Sheercold, second offense for Vox Nihili. I got there eventually.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, caster math at its finest. Both
never.
teams
It's never good.
Same exact thing. No, I mean, there's a reason we just talk over the video games instead. Grathen, though, again, they will fully eat that dynamite. Nat's already to 60%.
Yeah, they're going to have to... The game of chicken is happening right now. Grathen versus Nat. Nat, I mean, already 83% towards the Amplification Matrix. He's going to have it now. Grathen is nowhere near the Bob So the gamble is paid off for Vox and Nihili, but they have to make this amplification matrix work, or else they are going to be in a world of hurt coming into this next couple of fights.
I mean, it's the same exact deal. This time, though, they have high ground. They get to place that implication matrix in an even better position when they choose to go to point. They can clean up their health bars, make sure the cooldowns are online, and then start to move in off the back of it. And that is not afraid to pop this one on the high ground. It's going to use to deal both damage and heal his team up, giving them so much point sustain. Sheer Cold can't really contest it. They don't have the same amount of heals. They don't have the same amount of sustain to push their way out. Implication Matrix be damned, though. Backbone comes to the back line, taking out Ido and Vendetta. Falling here, Vox and Nihili are running low on time.
This time, Sheer Cold plays around the amplification matrix so perfectly there. They give up the high ground and rotate into Dark on point, where they know that they are not going to be in an area where the amplification matrix is going to hit them, and it's just the sustain. They need to wait it out, and then they have ultimates to work with. And now, Sheer Cold, they're in the driver's seat when it comes to their ultimate economy. I mean, look at it. Grafton has his, Shade and Alex both close to their important ultimates, but Vox and Nihili not really close to theirs. They may not even get a rotation.
No, this entire gambit relies on that one ultimate being able to win you the point, but it wasn't able to here. The rally's going to give you a little bit of sustain, but you're running into the welcoming hand of Alex, who will happily put you down and happily has time and time again. Dynamite throwing in so much damage. Admiral Raptor falls. Pingu as well. No May, no damage, no point for you. Says Sheer Cold as they hold on the first point here on our second round of Temple of Anubis to put themselves at a 2-1 lead and match point.
And the thing about this is that's really interesting from Sheer Cold's perspective, Dor, is that when we talked a little bit about, you know, adaptation, right? And adaptations in terms of team comps. This was a bunch of adaptation coming in just from how it was played, where they see on the first point, okay, they're going to eat the dynamite, and then they're going to get the amplification matrix in time for us to get to the point. Then they move backwards to Dark, and they don't let the amplification matrix get a lot of value. And then they know we have such a horrendously strong ultimate advantage that there's no way Vox and Nihili wins this fight unless we make a mistake. So the adaptation in terms of gameplay and game style from Sheer Cold, that map really comes to show into prominence. And I think for Sheer Cold, definitely deserving of winning that map.
Absolutely. I think they played the mirror matchup beautifully. And we're heading to another map where we're very, very, very likely to see the mirror matchup. This is Blizzard World, somewhere where in recent memory, we've seen almost every single push halted at B. Nobody makes it to the end here. I remember last trials when you and I were casting, I think we saw like 1 or 2 teams even get into C, much less finish the map. This is as difficult as it gets for Double Shield. So if the teams flex, I think we might be seeing Vox and Nihili try and shift over to something like a Winston Zarya if they want to trade and take their attacks a little bit faster. But other than that, it's probably going to be the mirror again, Kenobi.
Yeah, and I think for Vox and Nihili getting to, if they do get to see, even though it's, like you mentioned, it's been a while since we've seen it, that you can play Rush on that point specifically because it is such an enclosed area, much like a lot of the other hybrid and escort maps where third point usually has a lot of enclosed areas where Rush seems to thrive a little bit more. But in the mirror, I mean, Sheer Cold is just completely dominating right now. And I think for Vox and Nihili, they have to go to the drawing board in some sort of, back to the drawing board in some sort of way here, because if they continue to play like this, I think Alex is just playing on another level right now with Shade. Just the coordination between Sheer Cold and their understanding of the meta is so good right now. And I think they're in the driver's seat when it comes to the momentum. They're in the driver's seat when it comes to the understanding of the composition. For Vox and Nihili, it's a tall mountain to climb for them to come back and take us to a map 5.
And they've got the option to come in with a different...
Taking over the meta, I would say, Dor, where it's the best composition, I'd say, in the game right now for a little bit longer. Genji, unfortunately, did get those nerfs, so probably not going to be seeing too much of the Cybernetic Ninja in the future, so we should enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, Backbone has been more than welcome to help us enjoy it, as well as Pingo. I think both the Genjis actually put on an extremely good matchup. It's just been in the team play that the big difference is so far.
Yeah, I think the other thing we talked about when we talk about Alex, coordinating really well with this team, Backbone and Shade have also been coordinating really well, where the Halts are also going to Backbone and trying to get him some value with those dashes and far towards that Dragon Blade quickly. You can see Backbone just poking right now, already 25% towards his Dragon Blade, so not too bad of a charge for him as we start this map off on Blizzard World.
And now the one thing that you don't want to see Vox Nihili do on this attack is separate the Sigma away and try and go on the flank. It is a trap that many a team have fallen into. It is very punishable by double shield. In particular, they actually wrap their way all the way into the second point spawn, which is a very, very good opportunity to take some angles and start working down those shields of sheer cold.
Oh, but that goes down to Grafton. That's so much healing that's gone from Vox Nihili here, and I don't know if they can continue to make this push, especially with Thematic down. That should be done and dusted, Door.
No, when you lose that one player, it is just too much, and that's a big time commitment from Vox Nihili, taking all that space.
Time commit as well. Backbone also farms a blade throughout the entire thing, so they're going to have the advantage coming into this next fight. Refit as well going to have the rally to put on top of that. And for Vox Nihili, at this point, you probably have to try and make some eco pushes. You know that Sheer Cold probably has an advantage when it comes to a lot of these ultimates. You have to force some of them out. Force out things like the Ant Matrix, like the Rally, like the Dragon Blade, and hopefully don't throw as much of your ultimate economy away at the same time.
And that's the real trick to this whole double shield matchup, right? It's been ultimate efficiency. It's been efficiency with the Hulk. It's getting the most out of your abilities. There's just coming up on an Ant Matrix, but it's not who gets it first. And we have seen Vox Nihili end these fights incredibly early, just off the back of good Hulk combos, 3 Amplification Matrix. Both teams bombing at once. The Backbone comes in with the blade, putting in a little bit of extra damage, forces out the Immortality Field. Not able to save him for that long, though. His Backbone goes down. Sheer Cold are running out of options to try and end this fight. They re-engage with the Bob. They find their 6th member yet again, but now it's going to be Pingu's turn with the blade dashes through 80 HP to his name, but slowly and surely, Sheer Cold have stabilized, and they hold their position on point.
They do have some low health bars, but Alex has the Verdict Flux available to him. There is no defensive ultimates for Vox Nihili to deal with it.
Oh, Alex is going off just like he did. A beautiful accretion, forces out the Immortality Field. This has got to be Vox Nihili backing off. You've only got a minute 30 left.
They're committing the Bob to it, and there is also the Dragon Blade from Pingo available too, but Ido is down.
He's gonna get one for his trouble. Alex immediately the accretion, the 180 flick onto him. Now Bongo drops Sheer Cold. No, this fight is all theirs. A great flick connects. There's no Immortality Field to keep him alive. Vox Nihili sent right back to spawn with a timer that is very, very scary, Kenobi.
Alex. I mean, that Dragon Blade, if that goes through, that could have been disastrous for Sheer Cold, but it's another accretion from Alex that stops it dead in its tracks. Unfortunately, for Vox Nihili, a lot of ultimates committed into that fight. They use both of their DPS ones. They're luckily going to have the supercharger advantage, but it has to come off the back of that. There is really nothing else they can do, and there's a Bob from Grafton to stall this point even longer once the fight comes onto the point.
Well, once the fight gets there, there's a big question. 40 seconds on the clock. Taking this much space with double shield is a non-trivial task. You get Amplification Matrix into the Halt. You're eating Dynamites. You lose Pingu. He's not going to be able to charge up his next blade. Grafton is farming kids in the back line. And now this is on the flank. This is why you don't do this. Halt into accretion, into first strike. Too much damage. That's going to be a man down. 20 seconds on the clock. There is no way that double shield covers this much space that quickly. Theo has to make the swap.
The desperate swap stall stops right now. Theo's going on to the Hammond. Pingu's on the Tracer. This is desperation. Ido is going to pick Grafton, though. That is a huge pick. That means no Bob is available for this fight.
No Bob, no 7th member. In fact, no 6th member even. Backbone will have the blade up. Alex is heading towards the Radic Flux. If they can stall this fight out, Sheer Cold stand a very good chance of winning this 5v6. In fact, now that Nat's gone, there's no main heal. That opens up the line for Backbone to come in. No chance of Immortality Field stopping him. He's just free farming on the point. Theo's dropping low. Vox Nihili are going to be full health.
And even in a situation where it looked like Vox Nihili had the opportunity to take that fight, they had a 6v5. Grafton wasn't there because of a huge pick from Ido. It is again Alex who comes up clutch with a huge accretion. And then as well, Refid also makes the Tracer's life miserable, so Pingo gets no value, and Sheer Cold playing this Blizzard world absolutely masterfully right now, Doran. The win condition is set for them. Just one tick. The way they've been playing should be very easy for them to do. And this looks like it is going to be sheer cold series to lose right here.
Absolutely. Well, I would be very impressed. But Vox Nihili have a team that we know can do work. It's just when it comes to double shield matchup, they're just not quite there. The maps that they've been handed today, Junkertown, Temple of Anubis, Blizzard World, all very, very, very double shield heavy. They have nothing. They don't really have an option other than to opt into the matchup that they really, really don't want. I don't think has been able to keep up on the Ashe, especially with Grath and Vendetta. He's been doing pretty well in the segment. We mentioned it on Temple of Anubis. He's stunned out God knows how many Gravitic Fluxes, but it's just so impossible to match when you're put up against the likes of somebody like Alex, who is playing on just ascended levels right now. Sheer Cold are this close to victory, and they're looking to close that gap and set themselves up with a 1-0 lead to start things off here at Contenders Trials.
Not only that, I think the other thing that we have to talk about is a little bit the coordination, because Thematic obviously is very new to this team in Vox Nihili. And you can see just the difference between Shade and Alex and their coordination and the coordination between Theo and Vendetta. Shade just keeps making all of these plays and all of these halts specifically to get the rest of his team some of that ultimate charge, whether it's Alex getting a huge Gravitic Flux or getting a huge halt accretion or halt Genji dash, things like that. The coordination from Sheer Cold is just on another level right now to that of Vox Nihili.
And now the time bank, that coordination is going to have to count. Hell, they have time to just save up ultimates if they really wanted to. Charging them up properly, though. Lucid looking to get in and get the Amplification Matrix charged up first before anything. In fact, charging up very, very quickly on point here. He's taking so much damage, but it's going to be worth it. As Backbone's looking for the right opportunity, poke in, go for the haul, go with Twist Strike, and get yourself that blade charge working.
We're waiting patiently for these two teams to either make a mistake or get a pick. Ido is able to farm up towards that Bob right now, and there's the Amplification Matrix to match it.
Finally, it's out, but they can't follow up with the damage. They have to deal with the Bob first, and by then, the Amplification Matrix will fall. Backbone managed to get one for his troubles, though. Ido now down. No damage to stop, but they've lost their main tank. They've lost a lot of the sustain. If Sheer Cold want to do this, they have to do it now. Alex showing up the kill feed 1. Can he get a second to close things out? The Blaze online for Backbone. Immediately popping it, goes for the Vista, takes him down,
That's
opens things up, and tries to close out the series here for Sheer Cold, 3-1.
And that's it. Sheer Cold going to take a 3-1 victory in our first series here on EMEA Contenders Trials. And after a little bit of a shaky start against a rush all the way, and think, Dor, if we had to pick an MVP, my vote is going to Alex. I don't think there's anyone else that I could give it to.
You're not allowed to contest that. Nobody's allowed to contest it. This guy put the team
fact
on his back. He could have played that game 1v11, and I'm pretty sure he had like a 50-50 chance of winning it there.
I think so. I mean, just the coordination as well coming out from Sheer Cold. Hats off to Shade. Hats off to him on the Orisa. But basically making every single halt a money halt, and then Refid on the backline as well on the Brigitte, making the Genji's life on the opposite team miserable. I think just Sheer Cold had a bit of a shaky start, but it's control. They shook it off, and then once going into those other maps where the mirror of the Genji poke was online, it was just done and dusted, and Sheer Cold take a nice 3-1 victory to start off their trials.
And I don't think it's a bad way for Vox Nihili to start off their trials either. I mean, they had some really, really notable stuff. It was just Sheer Cold are playing out of their minds right now, which is great for them, but feels bad for Vox Nihili. I think in their future matchups, though, they stand a real chance. I think there was a lot of players to highlight on their side, especially Pingu, who showed up on the Genji God knows how many times. Once this tank lineup gets up and going and they get those halt combos a little bit more buttoned up, I could see them going some serious places, Kenobi.
Yeah, and Vendetta as well. Like, we talked about Alex a lot and how Alex was kind of dominating, but Vendetta played pretty good. We saw a lot of the halts, or a lot of the accretions rather, stopping Gravitic Fluxes from Alex. And if those accretions aren't coming out, this is probably a much quicker series. So Vendetta, hats off to them for having a pretty good performance on the Sigma as well. And up against maybe anyone else on any other day, it might have been enough to win. But against Sheer Cold today and the way Alex was playing, it was just not enough for them.
Well, we can wish him luck. Ladies and gents, so we have more Contenders Trials on the way. We've got Vasta taking on ASMR Esports. You won't want to be missing this match. It'll be coming on in just a moment, so keep your eyes glued to your screens and your butts in those seats. We'll be back shortly. Hello, ladies and gents. We are back, and we've got a little surprise interview for you guys. Sorry for not introing that beforehand, but you know what? It's Kenobi and I, and we have Refid in the call. Refid, it was a long road to victory, a little bit longer than you guys may have expected, and I think that we saw the opposing team come out with so much more than you may have expected in the way of compositions. Do you think it caught you guys off guard? How did you land on your feet so well? And my God, what did Alex have for breakfast?
I don't really know what Alex had for breakfast, but he popped off today. It was quite insane. Yeah, we struggled against Vox and Nihili at the beginning a little bit because we were quite nervous and they were playing funny comps that we didn't expect them to play. So we kind of lost first map because of that, but then on third map we kind of got back into like getting our playstyle basically forced onto them, and yeah, we wanted to control the pace there and it worked out quite well for us.
Yeah, Alex, I mean, went absolutely nuts. I can't imagine what it's like to have a Sigma player like that in your team, where it's just like, it seems like every accretion's hitting, every grid flux is hitting. I mean, one thing that I'm interested in is, can you talk us a little bit through that Anubis strat where you fake going through dark and then decide to just rush onto the point? Is that something you guys have been practicing? Is that something that like you had like a set play? It's like, we're going to do this specifically?
We figured that in theory crafting that we could also like fake, just like we did in the official. We didn't have too much practice on it, so it was quite risky for us, but it worked out quite well. Since we could easily just watch main with like brick third person, it was quite nice that we could pull it off and show it so effectively on the stream as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see the pre-stratting and the counter-stratting work out, especially against EMEA. That's a great way of getting in on the point. Now, you guys had a lot of different moments where you popped off on the double shield, especially once you were in that mirror matchup. You looked so much more comfortable. At what point during that series did you feel like, okay, this is it, we have it, we're in their heads, and we are dominating this matchup?
I'd say it was towards the end of Anubis. Anubis was still quite a struggle for us, or not struggle, but for me personally, at least, I was quite nervous still that we could still get stomped or lose our mentality, our focus and everything. But once we won that map and we entered, wait, which map was it? Yeah, Blizzard World, we were quite confident with it that we would quite comfortably win.
Yeah, I think Blizzard World, really, you guys asserted your dominance over Vox and Nihili there. I mean, again, a question going back to Alex is I felt like a lot of it is just how you guys play around him as well. I mean, he did pop off completely, but it seems like your communication is so good. Can you take us through a little bit of like how the comms are going, like when you're getting these huge halt fluxes or these halt dragon strikes things, or dragon blades rather, and things like that? Is it something that you guys are always preparing for, or are you just like, is it like, let's feed Alex, right, where it's just like, let's give him all of our resources, every halt goes to him, every accretion? Like, is that how you were kind of feeling with how he was playing today?
I wouldn't even say so. I think a lot of stuff that is between Shad and Alex is like their synergy. They've been playing alongside each other so long that they know what each other wants to do in every second. And I feel like most of it gets communicated quite well also to the team. Like when he hits like a big flax, so he says, big flax, guys, go, go, go. And then we kind of give good follow-up on it, and then we win the fight because of that. That's really nice. And with halt accretion is also, I'd say it's something he excels at quite well.
Yeah. So there were a lot of times where he was just like, I saw, oh, okay, he killed someone with accretion. Oh, he killed someone else with accretion. Oh, that dragon blade gets nothing because of accretion. It's just like every time it's got like magnets in it or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's also, yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. Speaking of dragon blades, you shut down a number of them with shield bashes. You made Backbone's life a living hell. How do you feel about your own personal performance today before we let you go?
Today I was feeling a little bit better in terms of my performance. The past couple of officials I've been struggling a little bit with like being nervous and so on. I'd say after like the second map I was quite calm when it comes to like stunning people and doing my job as like ult tracking and everything. So yeah, it was better today, much better.
Hey man, it was fantastic stuff from you. Congratulations on the win. Good luck in your future matches as well.
Yes, good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the interview. And just as quickly as it stopped, it starts again, ladies and gents. Vasta Gaming versus ASMR Esports. We are immediately hopping into map one. Vasta, though, notable thing here, they have lost Vizility, the player that got them through Open Division, not solely on their own, right? The rest of the players on this roster did some serious work to improve, not to mention Nihili and Rocket. Massive underdogs. Nobody has heard of these guys before, and they have come to play, haven't they, Kenobi?
Yeah, and I think as well, losing someone like Vizility, you mentioned that there are other people on this roster that are good and that help them get through, but Vizility is a person of that caliber is just something that's going to be very difficult to fill the shoes of. And I think all the rest of the members of this team need to step it up in this matchup if they want to have a chance against ASMR.
Well, they've got a really good lineup. I mean, we talked about this when we were casting Open Division. The entirety of this Vasta lineup is stacked. Rocket and Nihili, I mean, one of the nastiest tank lines out there. Sana and Kage, nothing to scoff at, and Abs has been playing some of the most incredible Baptiste. Though, do they know what they're even running into?
Yeah, this is a interesting composition if I've ever seen one. It's the Hammond and the Sigma comboed along with the Pharah and the Ashe. So some synergies that I would expect go well together with other compositions don't go well together here, as Fakanda is already down.
Well, the Resurrect does come through. You still have 6 members alive, but things definitely not looking great here for ASMR. Things are only going to get harder. You don't have the res. The Wrecking Ball's having a really hard time moving in with ANJ constantly being on the lookout on the Brigitte, and moving around the points are Vasta. There's nothing that ASMR can really do to contest this now that's been ticked.
ASMR just waiting patiently, trying to poke down with this Pharah play, but again, it goes down and is not able to get as much value as they would have liked. I mean, only 38% towards that Pharah barrage has to be resurrected as well. Very scrappy fights coming out here.
But this is super winnable for ASMR. They've got the res on the far, the damage is coming through. Snip is finding picks on the Wrecking Ball. As soon as Jazz gets back in on this point, we could see ASMR start to take it.
Oh, there's the halt though, onto the Pharah. The Accretion isn't able to get the damage done just yet to kill that Pharah, but I like that Vasta just isn't really looking at the Pharah. They're trying to win the ground game instead, and they can have control of this point. ASMR doesn't really have a lot of point presence with their composition, so Vasta's playing this pretty well so far.
Absolutely. Now with the mines, though, things get a little bit tricky with it. Legendary is going to have a Bob. You're going to have that 7th member. It's going to give you so much more point for the once it comes in. But if you're on a falls like that, if Kage's popping heads like that, you do not stand much of a chance, my friend. They lose Jazz as well without that taking power. And now without Bob, it's going to be incredibly hard for ASMR to actually turn this one.
The Pharah is still alive, though, and the barrage is available. But, I mean, Kage just continues to hit shot after shot, and Nihili is able to take down the pharmacy combo. And for a fight that seemed that lasted for a very long time, it's about 50% that Vasta gained throughout the entirety of that. So now ASMR is looking at last fight territory here. Have ultimates to work with. Nano is online. There is still the barrage from the Pharah, but Sana's got that pulse bomb, and that could end this fight before it even starts.
If just that one ability connects, it's all over here for ASMR. They need to play so careful. Fun again. Such low HP. The pulse bomb down. Snip falls. No main tank here. Vasta are looking to take this one 100% 0, but they got to get through the big flux first. Used by Jazz, but not able to be followed up on. There's no damage here. Even the barrage from Fanta is used late, taken down. Vasta are asserting their dominance on this first point, Kenobi.
Vasta looking completely in control right now, looking at a very clean 100-0 point capture as we start out here on Oasis. And ASMR, I mean, their composition, I like some of the ideas, but in the end, the execution just didn't seem to be there. I mean, we saw at the end they were coming in with a lot of ultimates. They had Nano, had Barrage, had Gravitic Flux, but none of them got any real sort of value, and Vasta was very easily able to just win mechanically off the base of those flubs from ASMR. So for Vasta Gaming, a nice start to the series, and for ASMR, this is a map where I think actually Pharah does work a little bit more. It's not as an enclosed area. You have an infinite skybox to work with, and I think it's going to get a lot more value on this map than it did on the other one.
And interesting, it looks like, well, this is probably just going to be a swap out of spawn, right? They will go back to the Mercy most likely, but they have no intention of swapping this composition up.
Yeah, the only difference is that there is going to be the McCree with Legendary, so you do have the ability to stun some people and just poke down those shields. But you're right, it is staying relatively the same. The only difference is that we are going to have the Orisa on this map, so offering a little more point presence than the Sigma does, and offering that shield that you can put anywhere you want.
I mean, you said best, but the far works fundamentally better here. Rocket's already drive low. ASMR, this is the best fight they've had all day. Looking to get into the back line. They've taken out the Immortality field. Now that key cooldown gone. Fangta is at 50% to the barrage. Could open this fight up at any moment with the pick, but it's Kage doing it again. Takes down Snip on the Wrecking Ball. No main tank, no pressure on the point. ASMR are gonna have to back off for a little bit.
Yeah, they're just waiting patiently, though. Deadline's doing a good job of keeping people alive, but Fangta, he's not going to be one of those members, and now the retreat is going to come in full force for ASMR as Vasta's able to take this cap. Another huge dynamite from Kage. This man has been a monster so far at the start of this series. We saw it on that last round, hitting headshot after headshot after headshot, and you don't want to get in this guy's crosshairs or it's going to be bad for you.
Oh, but Fangta gets picked on Abs. There's no Manios. Another one here from the far overtop. Has a barrage to try and seal out the fight. Do they use it? Doesn't seem like they want to. They want to hold on to this for as long as they can. But with the tanks going down, it's going to be enough for ASMR to see their first point take of the night.
And I actually love the patience here from Fangta there, not using that barrage. I mean, you saw the two people there very easily could have just said, especially after the grass went down from the Sigma, just said, I can barrage here to clean up this fight. But no, they hold on to it. And now ASMR are looking at a 6-pack of ultimates here, Door. But you know the old adage in Overwatch, 6 ultimates you lose, 5 ultimates you win. Hopefully ASMR for them, they break the curve here in this next fight upcoming.
Oh, here comes Son into the back line. The pulse bomb doesn't connect. No! Both the players getting out alive. Nano Boost is going to be thrown in and a lot of damage on top of Fangta. The barrage connects onto 1, connects on at 2, and that should be enough to hold them over on the point.
And it seems like for ASMR, they're giving a lot of resources here to this Pharah player to try and make them get, or have them carry, basically, the entirety of the team. The Nano was committed, even though you already had Barrage, and Nano Barrage isn't something that I've seen in quite a while. So a lot of resources pumped to the Pharah, and it's working out so far. 45% for ASMR on this point. Vasta, though, coming in, they have some important ultimates. They have the Supercharger and the Veridic Flux to work with, but they have to be big.
I mean, this is reminding me of a playstyle that we see from another team in the bracket, and that has to be the ultimate. Putting so much into this Pharah is finally paying off, though. Deadeye is going to deny the sidelines. No frag found, though, as the Bob's thrown on point, takes away a lot of health. And with that, down goes really no pocket for the Pharah. It means the Pharah has to be so much more careful. Legendaries along the back line, but he doesn't have sight lines to work with. 70% sticked over ASMR here, though. And Vasta need to start ending this fight here and now, or else they're going to be giving up a point.
And you can see still the Pharah is being kept alive, even though there isn't a Mercy pocket available. Really well played from Deadline. But the Pharah finally does go down. The Mercy's there, though, can resurrect it before this fight continues.
Yeah, Abs being traded out. This is going abysmally for Vasta.
Yeah, this is not going well for them. The Pharah working so much better on this map than it did in the previous one. Here's a Pulse Bomb. Doesn't get a lot of value. Nano ready. Could be placed directly onto that Pharah, and there it is.
Oh, we know exactly what's going to happen here, Kenobi. We've seen this one before. Not a one-trick pony exactly, our ASMR, but they know exactly what they want to do when they get the Nano Boost, when they get the Barrage online. Legendary dropping incredibly low, really able to keep him up. Fangta doing Fangta things. Another Barrage, only gets 1 this time. Abs and Napalm trading them out, but only 1 tank on the point is not the equation for success here. Vasta are going to have to GG go next here at Oasis.
ASMR winning this one map. Just a lonely Hammond on the point, but there it is for ASMR. If you can get maps like that where the Pharah is going to work, and especially here on that map of Oasis, it works wonders. I think it can also work here on this other map. The only difference is that there is some high ground to play around where the Pharah isn't going to necessarily be as safe as it was in that last map on Gardens. But for Vasta, they look so good in that first round of countering the Pharah. That second round, not as much. And for ASMR, we're seeing the hog and ball. Something, or we're not. Okay, well, unfortunate. Cast a curse, you know? It happens sometimes.
No fun here. No fun. Although I will say, Jezza has listed Roadhog as their best hero. They could come out on
Oh,
this.
they might. Did they reverse cast a curse me? Did I? Oh, okay. There it is. There is the
You've been
Roadhog
memed on
and the
degrees
Hammer.
that nobody's been memed on before, Kenobi.
It's the reverse caster curse, the reverse psychology, you know?
Oh my god, Vasta Gaming. They're opting into the Clown Fiesta here, though. going for the Wrecking Ball Diva dive. They want to live, they want to exist for the chaos. This point contest is going to be tricky though. With such a large point, actually taking out all 6 members of a composition is going to be incredibly hard. And I actually think that Jazz on Roadhog could give them a pretty big advantage in that respect.
Yeah, and Nihili here is going to be on the Diva just to make Fonka's life absolutely miserable. And Sauna goes down already, so that's a lot of damage that Vasta is going to be missing in this fight.
The point presence already going the way of ASMR, and the Roadhog shows up, immediately shuts down the Wrecking Ball, shuts down all of the CC that Vasta have, and what is normally a pick that would never be advisable is paying off in spades.
And you can just see how in the heads ASMR is in Vasta's right now, because Vasta, they switched their composition basically completely just to deal with this Pharah who's been a nuisance to them in that last map. And you can see for ASMR, they're totally fine with it. They say, okay, we have other players who are good as well. We have a Hog player. We have this McCree and Legendary who has been popping off in that last round. And now Vasta, again, have to make switches. Putting Rocket on that Orisa, putting Sauna on the Genji. They continue to switch their composition, and they're playing reactionary more than proactively like ASMR is.
It's what you love to see. Jazz has the Roadhog on the line at any point, could look to use it here, end this fight. However, immediately when he pops it, he goes down. Kage has been a real nuisance, a thorn in his Hog's backside. Snip, now the only tank alive, has to be kept up. Dodges the pulse bomb wisely by going back into the ball form, but the health is dropping dangerously low. The big thing though here for ASMR is they can contest his point damn near infinitely, Kenobi.
And Vasta does not have any high ground control right here.
This is gonna hurt.
Legendary sitting on this high ground. The Pharah barrage comes through, gets abs, but there's this very close still back and forth fight.
I mean, it's far from back and forth. It's all ASMR in the feed.
ASMR popping off right now. Vasta just does not know how to deal with the McCree, with the Pharah, with everything ASMR is bringing to the table. Vasta just seems completely lost. Oh no, he didn't. Thank God. That would have been such a tilter for Kage. I would have felt really bad there if he had gone down. But Kage switching over to the McCree, offering again some more hit scan option to deal with the Pharah, and also trying to duel with the other McCree on the other side in Legendary. Sauna coming up on that Dragon Blade, but ASMR, not really a composition that's going to be too close together, so you're only going to get the backline if you're going to get anything with the Blade.
I mean, it's almost guaranteed to be 99% for ASMR, the way they can stagger out points, but it's staggering out to their ultimates that they need to do. Vasta swapped at just the right time that they're going to have ultimates to move into this next fight. They've got the Bongo, they have the Super Blade to try and follow up, but they don't have Legendary taken down, getting pocketed so well by Willie, popping the Valkyrie, popping the Nano onto the Pharah Fonka. It looked for the right opportunity to barrage, and from the heavens he comes! 2 kills to their name, looking to clean up this point. 85% Kenobi, we're in last fight territory, and ASMR are looking to lock themselves up one more map.
Nipahar with a dive, just inadvisable there. You have to be able to stay there and keep yourself alive so you can deal with the Pharah barrage. And he just goes up, uses all of his defense matrix, and then it's the freest barrage of this Pharah's life. Vasta, the only thing they have to work with is the Blade. Oh, Rocket's already down, and Sauna gets nothing.
He couldn't even touch the ground with the pile driver. This is cruel. This is about to be big. Finds himself one with the Deadeye. ASMR is starting to raise a very big question here. They're going to take map 1, 2-1, but more importantly, Kenobi, is there room for 2 avoideds in EU?
I don't know. Maybe the power might be too strong to have 2 avoideds in EU, but for ASMR, looks like they're willing to play whatever they want here. ASMR Esports take the first win on Control, and with a composition swap, they had some very interesting play. The Pharah play from Fonka, absolutely wonderful. Vasta had no idea how to deal with it, and credit as well to Legendary, who, while all of the praise was on Fonka in that Pharah duel, Legendary had some really good moments on the McCree, so it's an even, I think, spread between all of what ASMR did that entire map.
Yeah, I think even is the perfect way to put it. This composition doesn't work without everybody playing their heroes exceptionally. Fonka's Pharah was great. Willie's Mercy, I gotta say, one of the biggest things, the fact that we didn't see the Ana go down nearly as often as you might think as well, the positioning had to be perfect. Jazz's Roadhog was out of this world, which is something that I never say about my Roadhogs. 9 times out of 10, I'm just complaining about them picking a quick play or something like that. Vasta, though, are complaining that they're losing to this composition. This is ridiculous. They thought they only had to deal with 1 Wrecking Ball in this tournament.
No, there's more than one. There's always another wrecking ball. The rule of two. But I mean, for Vasta, I think you can. This is what I'm interested to see from them is like, how are they going to react to this? Because it is control. You can just take it on the chin, and you can be like, it's control. That composition might not work in things like Junkertown. Like, I would be shocked, honestly, if ASMR does bring this composition to the table in Junkertown. But anything can happen. I mean, we do have an avoided in this region, so maybe ASMR is just avoided 2.0. We don't know.
Honestly, little birdie, little something over my shoulder is just telling me they're gonna go for it again. I don't think they ever don't. The big question is, what do they run for tanks? Because we've seen Hog, we've seen Sigma, and we've seen Orisa, and I think the latter of those three might be the right option here on Junkertown.
Yeah, I think specifically you can move your shield up with the cart, you can create space. I think the Pharah is something that if it does come out on this map, I'm a little bit worried because Pharah in a very open area with a map as long as the sightlines you can have for Widowmaker, probably not going to have the greatest of times. So we'll see what they opt to do here. And if they're hovering what they're hovering specifically right now, it could be a little bit of a change from what we saw in that previous matchup.
There's a little part of me that just thinks they're trying to play with us and be like, oh, look, we're going to play meta and then lock in the old composition. So let's take a look at what Vasta are running, because it's totally meta, and they are not going to be changing anytime soon. Legendary, though, on the Widowmaker could start to cause some problems.
Yeah, Legendary going to be on this Widowmaker against Kage, and I think that's a duel that I'm going to be looking out for, especially since we're on Junkertown. Widows mean so much. And for ASMR, we did have a side swap for those of you at home. They're going to be on the attack now in white, and here we go. Legendary versus Kage. Who is going to get the better end of the Widowmaker duel? You also have to look at the Genjis as well. Fonkta had a really good Pharah. Have not seen their Genji play as of yet myself. Very interested to see how it works out on this map.
With time ticking down, it's pretty expected stuff so far. The Widows both trying to play the neutral game, both Genjis just trying to charge up their ultimates. But you want to be looking for these halts off the high ground to take the space away from Vasta.
And you see Kage already on the flank, has the Orisa with him, but ooh, Nibahog gets extremely low from a really good shot from Legendary. And now the fight might start just yet. They're waiting patiently for the first pick. Legendary is getting a lot of good hits so far. Kage, not so much. You can see the difference. 14% all charge for Kage, 50% for Legendary. This Widowmaker on the side of ASMR getting a lot more value as of yet.
Yeah, Legendary, so many more sidelines, but that's a big shield bash onto Funk that denies him a lot of ultimate charge, but they still are winning the fight. Kage comes up with a big pop onto Jazz, but Legendary now has the sidelines to play with, no longer has to worry about the Widowmaker in their face. Can they make the most of it? Absolutely not. Sana immediately goes in for the dive, shuts them down, and gives Vasta a huge advantage going into the rest of this fight. Really, though, trading up for AJ. This is far from done. A very scrappy fight here at the end of A.
Fonkta does get the kill onto App, so ASMR are going to be able to hold here. Fonkta absolutely popping off on this Genji, much like the Pharah, and the push is stalled for Vasta Gaming. 1 minute and 30 seconds already taken off the clock for them. And again, look at how much better Legendary has been, how much more pressure he's been putting onto the entirety of Vasta Gaming. Kage only has 50% towards his ultimate. Legendary has his sights already. And you can see Kage is just... Legendary's like in his head right now. He does not know where to look.
No, both of these Widows playing a little bit of a game of chicken, but it's ASMR who have made the space currently. They own this high ground. They're not letting Vasta move anywhere near them. Not to mention the fact that Vasta are coming off on some pretty key ultimates. Both teams have the Super Blade online. Again, just a game of chicken. Who's going to press that button first? Who deals with it? Kage in a battle of wits here. In comes Fonkta. The Bongo Blade thrown in. Absolutely everything being used to try and make this one count. Gravitic Flux for good measure. Snip has held on to the Bongo, though. Sonic comes in with a blade of his own, makes it a nice little two-piece, and Kage cleans on up. Vasta will be seeing the end of point A.
Yeah, Vasta used everything in that fight. The entire, everything... And even the kitchen sink goes along with it there from Vasta Gaming. And ASMR, they used quite a few ultimates themselves, but they are making some switches. Legendary is going to be going onto the Ashe. I like this change. Kage gets absolutely obliterated by the Genji play as they take first point.
They get first point, but they haven't gained that much space. They get shoved back through the choke here. This can actually be really, really tricky for Vasta to push.
Definitely, and they're going to be pushing into a supercharger as well. There's the amp matrix to try and counter out some of that damage, but there's the supercharger. This fight's going to be trying to start right now.
Yeah, ASMR have the high ground. There's so many ways to be able. What a shot from Kage! Legendary down, no more threat of that dynamite. So much less damage about to be thrown out by ASMR. When this bongo goes away, you can expect Vasta to move forward unflinching into the opposing team, waiting for the right opportunity. They don't even need it. He's hitting shots all over the place. Kage popping head to left, right, and center. Gets himself 2, and that's enough for Vasta to clean up the fight.
Kage coming up huge on that Widowmaker. Takes off Legendary's head and then takes off the DP, the Genji's head to boot. And then they just don't have any damage to ASMR to contest onto that point. So now Vasta Gaming is moving towards the second point. ASMR will get one chance to recontest here right before this end. But they're looking up against a Dragon Blade and a Gorilla Flex, a combination you don't want to see. But that's a lot of healing that's gone with that pick from Legendary.
Oh, this gives ASMR so much moving into this fight. Thana, he's questioning whether or not he even wants to use this blade, peeking and peering around the backline. But I think they're just going to wait for that Baptiste.
They have to. They don't have the healing to deal with it, and ANJ can't go down either, and that'd be disastrous for Vasta Gaming. Abs should be back relatively soon. ANJ still he's toying with me right now, playing with my heart. I can't see him go down. The Baptiste is finally back, and now they have their ultimates ready to work with.
It's crazy. ASMR know all the little bits to poke and prod at to really take apart Vasta, but they've got one more fight to do it. Nibelog opens it up with a Gravitic Flux, finds himself a nice bit of value in this Mega Room, immediately takes out 2. Funkta still has the blade, picks himself up one of the Genji versus Genji matchup, and 150 on the clock. Vasta are going to have to GG go next into this fight, but they've got plenty of ultimates to do it.
Yeah, Funkta played that really well, actually. He uses the blade to take the 1v1 against Sauna, and now Vasta is retreating all the way back to their spawn. ASMR pushing them all the way back there. Luckily, like you mentioned, they were able to keep that Dragon Blade for Vasta, so Sauna and Rocket can combo for a Super Blade. And ASMR don't really have anything to counter with it. There's not a rally to get you some more sustain, some more armor. The only thing that you would realistically have to stall some time is that amplification matrix and the Bob from Legendary. But beyond that, not too much to work with.
Look, you don't have a Brigitte either. And that really hurts. Kage is doing things all over again on the Widowmaker here. The picks come in, Sans ultimates, they don't need anything to do it. Legendary's gonna have to clutch out big time on this Ash if they want any chance of holding on to this point, but it feels like as the numbers wane. As what is that Orisa doing back there? Where is Snip right now? Who's Snip fighting?
Snip was fighting the Brigitte. I think I mean, that just proves how good Brigitte is when Brigitte can solo an Orisa like that. Not going to be able to do enough damage to those Inspire procs, but ASMR or Vasta are finally able to cap second, and now they're moving into third here. Have some ultimates to work with still. Have the Dragon Blade, but they might not even need it with that pick onto the Brigitte from Kage.
Dude, Kage is on some other stuff on the Widowmaker, popping the visor, making ASMR even more scared. They've got to back away in front. You have to respect this.
Definitely do, especially the sights. You can't walk into Kage's sightlines, especially with how he's been playing so far. And Vasta this entire time still just pushing the cart. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Vasta only is going to get this one last ultimate rotation. They have to make it work. Sauna's been holding on to this blade for a very long time. And I think this is the moment where he can make something happen with it.
Well, this really is now or never, but now ASMR have ultimate smash. What a Riddick Flux, though, takes 3 people down to have HP, forces out the immortality field. You can follow it up with a blade from Sauna, although Jack has something to say about it, gets himself 2. Sauna blade continues to get value. This long just taken low. Kills everywhere in the kill feed, all sorts of colors popping up over there, but it's Vasta who are finding the upper hand, Kenobi.
And getting this kill on the Jazz would be huge. They do get it, so that means there's less people on the cart to stall. But there aren't any tanks right here for Vasta Gaming on the cart. They don't have any points presence as they're coming back from spawn. They have to give it up.
Yeah, they don't really have much of an option. 40 seconds ticking on the clock, though. They throw down Bongo. They're not doing the fight quite yet. Bongo takes down Kage. The bane of their existence so far here on Junkertown has finally been removed. However, Snip on the Wrecking Ball, again, not being able to get too much done. These sightlines just don't really work for it. The blade's going to be, pardon me, the rallies popped from Willie, and a lot of ultimates come out, but nothing really happens.
Yeah, Willie, they do have the rally armor for this next fight, and that's going to be something that's very good for ASMR and their sustain. Vasta Gaming just pushing through, trying to get their perfect moment as the Hammond comes in. They're so low.
But that perfect moment refuses to appear. Legendary's putting in damage on the Ashe. The end of this point continues to be a living hell for Vasta to actually push through. Funk is going to throw on the blade for good measure. 2 seconds on the clock. Do they even get a touch, Kenobi?
No, they don't. They don't, and it is stopped at 90 meters even. I don't remember the last time that I saw like triple zeros on a capture, but 90 meters even. So basically all the way almost to the end of Junkertown completely. A valiant effort, I would say, from Vasta Gaming, where it looked like at the start they possibly could have been full held at point A, but they managed to get it all the way, basically 3/4 of the way through the entirety of the map. So well played to them. And Kage, man, he is on some other stuff right now, like you mentioned.
And we have to address, we said in the previous series, but pushing anywhere past B with double shield versus double shield, you have to be patting yourself on the back. That was a very, very good push from Vasta. It's going to be incredibly hard for ASMR to actually match that, especially on double shield, because these fights take so long, Kenobi.
And again, it comes down to the fights really break apart when it's someone like Legendary or like Kage getting one of those opening picks. And it seemed pretty even throughout towards the back end or middle end of that fight or of that round. Kage was, I think, getting the better end of a lot of the DPS players of ASMR, but Legendary, no slouch himself, had some really good moments. Fonkta as well, showing me that their Genji as good as their Pharah play on that first map. So it's not just a Pharah player, has the Genji projectile in him as well, and they're going to need it coming into this attack on Junkertown.
I mean, they haven't locked up the map quite yet, but I'll tell you what's scarier than Avoided. Avoided that can play double shield when they want to. It's like a thing of your nightmares, Kenobi.
It's their next form. It's their final form. We can play double shield now as well. They've upgraded. They've gone to Super Saiyan, you know?
Breaking out all the tricks up their sleeve right now, but they've got to find some more. They're up one map, but it's definitely not going to guarantee you anything, especially against a team that is as good as Vasta. They're not going to get tilted after one map. Legendary's still got some work to do on the Widowmaker, opening up these sightlines, but it's only going to be space gain so far.
We're seeing the card has been moving pretty consistently, and not really any fights have taken place just yet. Fonkta gets extremely low and ends up going down off the back of a really nice shot from Kage, who is literally 1 health.
Yeah, Legendary has next to no space to work with here. Vast, you're going to send him back to spawn. ASMR, that timer slowly ticking down on them.
Yeah, 1 minute already gone. They've gotten it halfway through to the point, though, so not terrible for them. But they're looking down the barrel of a very competent Widowmaker player in Kage, and Legendary's going to have to keep him in check if ASMR wants to have a chance at pushing this through and taking this first point.
Absolutely. Looking at the ultimate charges, though, we can see that it's pretty even across the board. The first online likely to be Deadline and the Amplification Matrix, which is going to be helping out ASMR a fair bit here as they try to move in. But Vasta still can find picks, still can end things early. Sonic getting caught out a little bit on the high ground. Duck, dodge, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Remember, you fire these dodge well, because I absolutely can't. Immortality Field's been forced out. They're doing everything to avoid the damage, but it's just not enough when Vasta are throwing so much at you.
Yeah, Nivahog was really clutch on this segment, was farming his Verticlux much more fast than Jazz was, and has a really big one there, and also a nice accretion onto the Genji to take that kill, and basically stop, again, a push from ASMR, who have taken 2 minutes off of their clock, and now they're pushing in again to this next fight. Rocket has the supercharger way faster than Snip does, so that's an advantage that Vasta has here.
Oh, they don't even need that supercharger, Kenobi. It's over after 1. The Widowmaker goes down, and with that, we know Kage can free farm. He's got even the sight to help him out. They're throwing in a lot to this, though, Vast. This may have been a bit of an overcommitment.
And, yeah, possibly. I think you actually have a point there, is that they used basically every single one of their ultimates, and there's still 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock here, Door. I mean, Legendary, please don't die. Okay. Whew, that was very close. If he had gone down there, that would have been extremely bad for the time bank of ASMR. But ASMR, now they have an opportunity to move forward. They have a Dragon Blade. They have the sights to work with. Super Blade online whenever they would like to use it, but only 1 minute left for them. They're not going to get too many more chances at this door.
Oh, Legendary almost opened up the door beautifully. Knows where the second one's coming from. Still has sight. Is just willing to duel the Genji here. Not afraid of Son at all, whereas they really should be. Legendary goes down. The Widowmaker is now free farm again for Kage. So much value is going to be found just because those sightlines are opened up.
And the Super Blade from ASMR gets no value whatsoever, and this is the last fight that they're going to be having, Door, for ASMR to get this first point, or else they're going to be full held, and we're going to be going to a 1-1 series score after only 2 maps. And Vasta, they have ultimates to work with. ASMR have none to work with. Vasta realistically should not lose this next fight if all of their ultimates hit pager.
Well, realistically they should, but realistically they shouldn't have lost that first map either, Kenobi. We know ASMR can come up and do some fantastic things, working their way around side, look for the right hall combo with the Dynamite Grid. Flux though picks up the Brigida, slams it back down. Immortality Field has been forced out, slowly running out of utility. Willie's been taken out. That is the first Hita's composition, looking to take out the Sigma, who is getting caught way too far forward. Working with the sightlines, now it's Sana with the blade. All those ultimates that you mentioned, they're just too much to handle. They don't even get a cart touch in, and Vasta tie up the score 1-1 in the series.
Vasta Gaming looking infinitely better on that Junkertown map than ASMR, and I mean, credit again to Kage, who kind of put the team on his back throughout a lot of that map where in that second map absolutely much better than what they looked like in that first map. And I think it's probably because they didn't have to deal with any wacky, crazy compositions coming out from ASMR.
Yeah, Junkertown is notably one of the worst maps for teams like Avoided, like ASMR to play. It's one of the bigger reasons. I'm not going to make an excuse for them, but Avoided ended up playing Junkertown basically just 2 times immediately with their composition, and it gave them hell. No surprises here. ASMR go there. They don't want to play the Wrecking Ball Pharah. It is just too damn difficult. Now, though, we're heading on to Temple of Anubis, which maybe opens up the doors for a couple of other things. I want to highlight, though, Vasta Gaming looks so much more comfortable dealing with this now that they're on the double shield matchup. And I want to highlight Sana, especially, who I feel like was making a lot of the room there for Kage, doing a fantastic job on the Genji. We know exactly what they're going to be running coming into this map. Do you think ASMR can run back to their composition, though?
I think there's a possibility, especially on Anubis, where Pharah does have some prevalence, but the only issue that I have is that you're going up against someone like Kage, and Kage right now has been playing really well on the hit scan role, and you kind of have to take that gamble where, do I want to battle against Kage, who, as we saw in Junkertown, has a very good hit scan? If they want to play their composition with the Pharah and the Hammond, I think you definitely have a chance to on Anubis. You just have to be worried and have to play slightly more carefully around Kage.
And that's the real trick, right? Keep your DPS alive, and they can start working through those tank health bars that are giving you so many problems. Start working on the Pharah, making sure she's not getting all that much space. You have the opportunity to run a Mei, run a Torbjorn, start denying a little bit of the dive as well here. There's so many adaptations that Vasta can actually make.
Yeah, and for Vasta, I mean, the thing I would also say for them is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? The double shield clearly is working for you on these maps specifically. Like things like that, I think if they just stick to their guns with the double shield, I think that's going to be where we see them being the strongest, because I think it is their strongest comp based on what I've seen so far. And I think if they continue to stop playing this musical chairs with their heroes, then I think they have a much better chance of winning this series.
You know, this is a really interesting choice that we're seeing come out of Vasta. Or no. Yeah, Vasta. They had side pick, and they chose attack first. They might have something up their sleeve. The Hammond Diva, I feel like, is a tease here. They gotta be.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I don't think it's gonna. I mean, maybe, I don't know. They're hovering Genji Tracer. There's no way. There's no way. But I mean, for SMR, they're picking what we kind of thought they were going to pick, at least in terms of their DPS, where they do have that Pharah again, Fangta. On the defense, I think it works pretty well because you can just basically pepper in rockets from sightlines anywhere. And for Vasta, this is much better from them, I think. This is a much better Anubis composition. They have the Mei as well to kind of make sure that they can get through those chokeholds. Again, Kage, it's going to be up to him to deal with that Pharah in the sky and make their life miserable and try and take them out.
It's not exactly easy here, though. Defensively, Pharah actually has a lot of sightlines to work with on Anubis. You can play very close to this initial choke and make it difficult for the Ashe to land shots. Other than that, they still have to worry about the standard halt combos coming in, and abs going down is not how Vasta want to start this one out.
And there you already see a halt combination like you were mentioning. Abs goes down. That means they have to wait, and that means that they are going to be lacking some healing. Legendary going down is pretty big, though, but there is a resurrection available from Lily.
The Resurrect is up, and don't forget, the Pharah deals a lot of damage here. When you lose the Ashe, you're not losing nearly as much because you still have a real damage threat on the team, as opposed to a Genji who's really there to swift strike through and finish off the kills. We know what Vasta can do on this Pharah, and when they're just sitting there eating rockets one at a time, it is not a good time. Sana's going to be going down. Vasta's still on the back foot here.
Yeah, I mean, the Pharah's just doing so much work in terms of just peppering down these shields and putting in so much damage, along comboed with Legendary and those dynamites from Ashe, that it's just so much damage that Vasta has to deal with, and they need to really start trying to push through Dark, not let this Pharah get as much easy sightlines on them as they have been so far.
Well, they're nearing that deadly barrage, and we have seen many a barrage from Functa used in very, very good position. I don't think we've actually seen Functa die out of a barrage, which is just insane. Immortality field, though, there's the barrage. Functa knows immediately once that cooldown's out. It is free farm time, gets one, and that should be enough to stop Vasta right in their tracks.
And it's another really good halt combination coming out from Vasta with Snip and Jazz. I mean, this seems like a very different ASMR that we saw in the last series than we are now. This seems like a much better team, much more coordinated team with their halt accretions and their halt into Pharah rockets. It just looks so much better, and they've already taken 2 minutes off of Vasta's time bank.
Yeah, things are not looking good. ASMR clearly a very map-dependent team where they want to run their composition, those specific heroes, but the Vasta finally made it through that first point choke. The first bit of hell is over. You got to get through the second, though. Amplification Matrix is only going to buy you so much room. The halt, the dynamite, there's still so much damage being thrown their way, even though they own that high ground.
Barrage again available for Functa here, along with the Bob, Supercharger, Geritic Flux, a lot of ultimates to work with. Jazz kills Rocket. They might not even need to use any of these ultimates besides the Window and the Valkyrie from the Mercy. This ultimate rotation so clean from ASMR. And now, with only a minute left for Vasta, they're going to have to accrue their ultimates and just throw all of them onto the point at once, but they're so far away from some of their more important ones.
Yeah, the Flux is still 30% away. Sana's got a blade, but no bongo to combo with. This is piecemeal bits in the last push for Vasta.
Yeah, this is a Build-A-Bear workshop ultimate economy here. There's the barrage from the Pharah, and Functa stays alive through all of it. There's a Geritic Flux on top, and this is just disastrous for Vasta Gaming.
ASMR just had so many more Q buttons to press Kenobi.
Yeah.
So many more Q buttons. Time's ticking down. Vasta aren't even gonna get to look at the point.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is that they used a lot of their Q buttons. That's the one thing I'm a little bit worried about, is that ASMR used all of their ultimates in their bank. Vasta still have some to work with. This is going to be their last shot here, Dor.
But at the same time, Sana wants to go for the blade, but he also has to touch the point here. You can't really close this distance as the time ticks down. Things are getting way too close. Sana will be there for the touch. 5 seconds ticking down on the clock. And in he comes. Exactly what he's going for. Takes down Legendary. Now looking for the farmer. He dashes through. Looking to take down absolutely everybody. Sana clutching it out when it matters most. My God, man.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, really well played from Sana and Vasta there, but for ASMR, that was your map to lose because you had such a good ultimate economy. You were working with it so well, and then you use everything at the very end, and you just sack your ultimate economy completely. And now you had no ultimates to work with on that defense. And then for Vasta, it's very easy. And they keep a lot of their important ultimates. They keep the Bob, they keep the Superchargers. So this is very snowballable right now for Vasta. The only thing they have to worry about is a barrage from Functa, which, to be honest, has been pretty deadly so far.
That's been still one thing to worry about, but they're not out of the woods yet. In comes the Bob. Functa taking a ton of damage. He knows that he has to avoid this. He knows he's got the only way in, but so do Vasta. They are just eyeballing this man, not letting him have any value. Take him out of the sky. Start taking over the point. A third online already. Two members of ASMR are going to be able to connect here. The Resurrect goes through. The Barrage coming up online. But can they contest this point long enough? Kenobi is not looking likely. The Barrage in. Finds two. That's the foothold they need. If they can just hold out for spawns, the Wrecking Ball gets there in time. ASMR have a way back into this fight.
Oh, the Willie's down. That's a lot of healing that's not there. The Wrecking Ball is still alive, just holding, contesting his point, but he gets off. Oh, that was winnable for ASMR. Very winnable with those respawns, Door.
It was so close, man. They had everything. They had everything on the first point. They threw away all the ultimates. Well, just that little too early. 5 seconds would have made all the difference. Just hold on to one or two of those to shut down the Genji. But you know what? You made a mistake. And my God, Vasta are a team that is more than capable of punishing you for it. And they come out with a pretty healthy time bank to boot.
Yeah, I mean, in the wise words of Doa, if you give Vasta a pixel, they'll take the entire screen. And that's exactly what Vasta did right there. The mistake that ASMR made, sacking their entire ultimate economy. Vasta takes that. They know that they have the advantage. A really nice blade from Sana. And he also just won insta-kills Legendary, then goes up there, kills the Mercy, and kills the Pharah on top of it. And then they snowball. And for ASMR, probably kicking themselves a little bit because that was their map to lose. Because they had been playing it so well, Door. That's the thing that's frustrating to me, is that they were playing it so well at the start, and then that just one little error cost them the entire map in the cap.
Well, far from a little error, but you know what? It did end up costing them the entire map. You're absolutely right. Now on the attack, this is where things get interesting. They're still swapping up here. I have no clue what they're going to run.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Zarya Hammond have a little bit of play, especially in Overwatch League. If you're a Chengdu Hunters fan, you definitely know that they've been playing it a lot. Again, a lot of disruption comes from this composition, and you have to look for a lot of different directions, which leaves Legendary open to pop some heads, and for Fonka to get a lot of damage done with those Pharah rockets. But it's going to be played a little bit more slowly, unless a big pick comes in at the start.
Do they know?
And here's the Hammond on the point.
Okay, they know.
They go.
They look for just a quarter second, you know, a little bit of doubt in your mind. The Hammer's gonna get away. Legendary's got those sidelines, so like you mentioned, that is a lot of damage being thrown at the Orisa, but not enough to find this pick. The DPS need to be showing up so much in order to capitalize on what Snip is gonna be doing, because Snip is in a world of hurt right now. How is he still alive on the Wrecking Ball? Puts the Orisa back out into the open site, but Bonka has not been able to capitalize on this yet.
I mean, just Hammond things living for that long, and Vasta, they do get the kill on Kage. That's huge. That's no hit scan threat. Fonka can play as free as he wants right now with that Mercy Pocket.
As well, the Widowmaker gets a lot more free here too. Sonic can look for the backline, but can't really afford to spend that much time. He's the only bit of damage they have. Does take down Deadline though, and that's the opening that Vasta need to get back into this one. Start taking down those DPS, start working on those health bars. They got an amplification matrix to buy them time, get those spawns back in, but Legendary now, they don't have a wet or Genji to worry about. They just need to be connecting these shots.
The Hammond Snip is in the back line. He's still alive somehow, has the minefields on the point, so this point not ticking up just yet for ASMR, and Vasta playing this pretty decently, but Kage again goes down to the Pharah.
And you don't want to be losing your Ashe that early again. There's so much damage being thrown away with this double shield, but once those shields break, it is all going to be over for Vasta. They need to show up in the kill feed here and now, but it doesn't seem like ASMR are even giving them the time of day as Fonka chucks in a barrage just to make sure it happens.
As cool as you like from ASMR, they're looking much better on this attack, and now they have a 5-minute time bank rolling into second point here. Not too many snowballable ultimates available to them. They do have the Nano and the Graviton Surge, but Vasta have a lot to stop it, mainly the Gravitic Flux and the Dragon Blade, as well as the Supercharger, to name a few. And with those ultimates online, ASMR should have a pretty rough time snowballing completely into this point.
Well, the big thing I'm looking for here is aggression from ASMR is the name of the game. Disrupt the enemy team, don't let them use their ultimates together and get the damage in. The Graviton's use it, catches 3. If it takes down any of these players, it's gonna be huge. Fonka comes in with the splash damage, takes out 2 of them with the help of Legendary, and ASMR are gonna start taking this point up. They've got 3, they've got 4 of the picks. They just gotta take care of this Orisa if they want to take it over.
ASMR looking very poised to take this point here. Toward one more tick is all they need. There's one person contesting, but I think that's done and dusted. Just the Supercharger, and they kill, and they win.
Yeah, Supercharger's there. Gravitic Flux is way too late from Nipahog. Throws himself off the point, and it feels only fitting that we have both teams do that, Kenobi.
Only fitting. And we see a pretty good time bank. 4 minutes and 1 second from ASMR. That's more time by 1 second than they started with. So feeling pretty good if I'm ASMR after that attack. And for Vasta, I mean, again, it's just like the dealing of the Pharah with the Hammond, with the McCree, it just seems like there's so many things, again, that Vasta have to look out for, that they don't know where to keep all of their focus. And especially with Vasta or ASMR rather, them playing as well as they are, because it's not just the composition. The Pharah, the Fonka is doing such a good job of just being a nuisance, and same with the Hammond as well from Snip. It's just so much disruption and so much mental RAM is forced out of Vasta that they sometimes don't know what to do with it.
You know what's nice though is I feel like between the DPS and between the tanks, the one thing that they do the best, and it's not just getting the most value, it's trading aggro. Whenever you see Fonka get targeted, just walks out of sightlines, lets Legendary farm up for a little bit, then the tanks come in, and then they re-peek again, and they just rotate off the aggression from Vasta so amazingly. Now they get to set up their defense, and they just have to be able to pull off one hold with this double shield. Couple minutes on the clock here for Vasta. They're looking to make them count.
Yeah, and you're only going to get, with 2 minutes, one ultimate rotation, and they're actually bringing out the GT dive. It's been quite a while since I've seen this door, but Vasta bringing it back to prominence. We've gone in a time machine back to the days of the GT dive, and they're going to have to play this very carefully. Again, they're probably just going to try and dive onto one target on that high ground, blow them up completely. Hopefully one of the tanks goes down or a support on the Baptiste.
Well, that's what they're looking for, but all they're finding is a world of hurt. Rocket Nipahog cannot deny all the damage coming out from Fonka. This Aristocrat in a very, very rough position, is being helped out, has the 40 to keep themselves up, and a lot of the resources have been taken away from ASMR.
But absolutely, it's going to be able to farm up a lot of nano charge from these low health bars of the tanks from Vasta, and then you can just throw that onto your Winston, put him into the backline, and you can annihilate one of the squishies. And even the tanks, Nano Winston does a surprising amount of damage where you only have 60 seconds left, and this is one of the only shots you're going to get.
It's a great way to win a fight, but if you don't have the Winston, things get dicey. Rocket's been taken incredibly low, healed back up, Fonka's out of the sky. That's the ticket they need to get back in. Nipahog just waiting on the body, wants to deny that res at all costs and above the shields. The sightlines are beautiful here for Vast, but ASMR fight back with 2 kills of their own, still in the corner of the point, but they don't have the heals to sustain.
And the dive ends up working out so well for Vasta. They pull the attention of the Mercy away from the Pharah, and then Nipahog has the presence of mind to go up and assassinate the Pharah, and then after that, the rest of ASMR falls apart. And with Vasta Gaming, they have the ability to continue to push this forward. They have a Nanoblade coming up very soon. This could be a full double cap for Vasta if this Nanoblade hits pay dirt.
Well, the biggest thing I'm looking for right now is Legendary on the Ash. Get that Bob up. It's going to be one of, if not your absolute best tool for peeling away this blade. Deny the space from the opposing Genji. That's the trick to go in. The Bob's thrown out to counter, but it's all the way across point. It's not actually peeling for the blade. He can come in for free, start cleaning up one, gets the nano, looking for more, deflects a good bit of damage, falling to his barrage, doesn't find much of anything, but will D-Mech 1. This point getting ever harder for Vasta to actually push. They're losing players ever so often, but they are able to close it out with the help of the Winston and the Tracer and the Genji. Such great target focus coming out from Vasta.
But the respawns are so much closer here for ASMR. They need to get these kills much more quickly if they want to have a chance at winning this. But Deadline is able to kill the baby Diva, and I don't know if they have it, Dor.
It's not looking likely. Rocket has dropped incredibly low. The overtime sticking down. They're trading aggro beautifully here. Vasta are playing the dive incredibly well. The Genji comes in, still looking for value. Gets himself a nice 2. Is going to have to clutch this one out for his team, though, because they need a lot more damage than that to finish this one off. Legendary swipes through, and with that, ruins A&J's day on the Lucio. Everyone's back in on Stallpick, but it's the blade that you really want to be watching from Sauna. Slices through one, has to deflect 6 HP to his name, and falls to Legendary. This point still going, Kenobi.
Still happening, but I think, again, the respawns are going to be much too close for Vasta to deal with, and ASMR should realistically clean this up. Even with Deadline going down and just a lonely Hammond on the point, the stick is going to clean everything up, and it's going to be ASMR finally winning the fight and holding.
You know what, though? That was respectable from Vasta. That was respectable as hell. They had the lesser time bank. They still broke A, breaking the composition that we haven't seen them break before with the Pharah, with relative ease, mind you, on the dive. Now you get to go back to your comfort pick onto the double shield, and now it's about dealing with ASMR's wonky picks.
And for ASMR, you're feeling bad that you lost the first cap, but you're feeling pretty good that you have a 4-minute time bank to get half, basically, of second point. With how quickly they did it on first, it's definitely a winnable scenario for ASMR to take the lead in the series 2-1. And for Vasta Gaming, and you're right, they just have to deal with this wonky composition coming out from ASMR. If it ain't broke for them, they'd say, don't fix it. With how well our first offense went, there's no reason to really change.
Yeah, and the one thing we're looking for here, obviously a point A take needs to happen for ASMR, but also a point B snowball, something they did very effectively prior and need to do yet again.
Just waiting here for the doors to open, and for Vasta Gaming, they have to play very carefully around ASMR's composition. They have to make sure that if Snip is going into the backline, they're making sure he's going down. They can't let him get away with murder like he was in the last couple of rounds that we saw him play in. Just waiting, they already come out. There is going to be Legendary on that Widowmaker, so they have the sightline advantage and the range advantage against the duel with the Ashe, and they have that one headshot potential to get one pick and blow this defense open completely.
Yeah, last time Kage really struggled to stay alive. It gave so many open sightlines over to Funkta, but not this time. The Ashe is still up. You still have to respect it, but the health bars are getting especially low here for Vasta, who have split themselves off into 2 different groups. Oh, you're absolutely right, Kenobi. Kage goes down. This is when Funkta gets to play.
I mean, Funkta, so many times in that last round as well for ASMR, they continued to always just get a first pick onto Kage, and it was Funkta who was doing it, and now it's the easiest cap of ASMR's life right now. They're gonna not have too many ultimates to work with Door. There is the barrage from Funkta because he's been farming it pretty quickly, but this just looks like ASMR has this in the bag.
Well, now they don't even need the snowball is the thing. They've got plenty of time on the clock. They can just wait for those ultimates to come up, can't they?
Yeah, they can play this as patiently as they want. They have about 3 minutes, I believe, to work with now just to push this forward. And for Vasta Gaming, you don't have a lot of ultimates to stop this. They've switched Rocket onto the Winston just to try and dive onto the backline, making Ana's life miserable, but they're going to have Nano available, Barrage is available on top of it, and ASMR can just wait until they have the perfect moment and go in.
Oh, when does the perfect moment to be? Well, right now, absolutely right now. Rocket got slapped, and that's not what you need if you're Vasta. Looking to take the lead right now, ASMR. Nano does the barrage connect. We know exactly what they love to do. Put all their eggs into the Funkta basket and watch it pay off. But Deadline goes down to the back line. Sauna's not able to snipe out the Far Mercy this time with the blade, but there are more ultimates coming online here for Vasta in just a moment. Re-engaging with the Gravik Flux Funk to find one, but not much more than that. This push is not going to be successful from ASMR. Vasta have the spawn, they have the tools, and they will be holding on here most likely.
Yeah, unless Legendary can make something happen, but he isn't able to do so. Only 11 health goes down, not even a tick for our friends on ASMR, and that's not what you want to see, especially when you had the snowball available to you, and Vasta Gaming are able to stop and able to sustain and stop the bleeding. And now Legendary, okay, well that's just, that shouldn't be happening.
They've got Resurrect, they're fine. It's a go back button.
Yeah, you know, you make a mistake, your Mercy's right there to correct the mistake, you know? Easy.
Yeah, classic ASMR. But now they've got to get the Wrecking Ball out of a little bit of trouble. The health bar is dropping dangerously low. Both teams are very much so dancing on the line right here. Neither of them have ever had a 6 set of full health bars. Both of them really struggling to move in on one another. But again, the onus is on ASMR to close this distance. Legendary's back on the McCree though, just like map 1, starting to farm on up. Looking for the Genji, just needs a little bit more damage to do it, but Rocket is going to be taking him down. In the meantime, though, Jazz is on the point, dishing out obscene amounts of damage on ANJ, takes out the rallying Brigitte, now just needs to deal with the Winston Neverhog, comes in, cleans them up, and again, the trades back and forth are not going to favor ASMR. They need to end this fight, and they need to end it now, Kenobi.
And Legendary is going to be able to get a pick on the Nippahog, and Barrage is available. They only need like half a tick more. Legendary's popping.
Oh, he's got the brush. He knows exactly what he's going for. Avoids it, like very smart there, avoiding Sauna, but he's got another blade, looking to stop the resurrect. Legendary takes A&J down. Sauna's blade, the only thing between them, and holding on his map, but Legendary's cleaning up again on the McCree. Just a little bit more between ASMR and victory, but the spawns of Kenobi, they're just too much to handle. Legendary's been stuck. Kage's clutched out. 40 seconds on the clock, and ASMR have one more shot at taking this map.
What an unbelievable defense there from Vasta Gaming, and the D.Va's gonna get staggered as well. Dora, this is disastrous right now. This D.Va can't die. He goes down. They're not gonna have a full engage. That's disaster for ASMR. Okay, no, they have the resurrection, but they're not gonna have it for Funkta if he goes down. Very, very, like you mentioned, on a knife's edge for both of these teams. ASMR needs to win one fight right here.
And immediately into the backline. Deadline still has an nano. Of course it goes on the Funkta. Of course it goes on to the far. He's got the brush loaded up. Finds himself one. Doesn't need much more than that though.
No! Oh no. Oh no, Door. Door? Door?
I'm alive.
Are you alive?
Unhappy. Just unhappy.
Oh. It was what a way. What a awful way for that to end. I mean, it was even too. Like they had the Nano Farah sitting there, but Rocket, to his credit and to Abs' credit, Rocket created so much space that they weren't able to get onto the point, but still, I mean, that's a tilter. If I've ever seen one before. That's a tilter.
The tilter is a bit of an understatement. Luckily for ASMR, they've got one more map to go. You're at game point. At the maybe you're in Vasta's heads, but I'm trying to think of a positive light to look at this one from. They had all the tools. They were doing everything right. It was just as close as the first map was. But I mean, to be fair, in the first map, when the difference was ASMR having the clutch power, here it was them having the choke, right? It's just karma. I think it's the balance. All things Overwatch end up equal, you know?
Yeah, balance is perfect balance as it should be, as Thanos says. And, I mean, to be fair, Vasta had some super clutch moments. I think Sauna coming back on the second to last defense, where he comes back, hits a huge Dragon Blade, where Legendary looked like he was about to pop off and kill everyone. Like, this was incredibly close, and if you're ASMR, you're kicking yourselves probably a little bit.
A little bit?
Probably a lot. Probably a lot.
A lot of it. Hey, well, let's take a look. We got to put that one behind us. ASMR have got to put that one behind them. We're heading on to the next map. It's Blizzard World. This is a pretty good map for them to run their composition on. However, ladies and gents, we're finding out whether or not ASMR are going to be able to do that. They've got a little break before they get back into it to try and, you know, detail, get some oranges in them, get some juice boxes for halftime, and be back to try and take on Vasta there at match point. We'll see if they can do it after a quick little break. We've taken a breather, ladies and gents. Kenobi and I are back. I'm ever so slightly less tilted after watching the previous map. Kenobi, I don't know if you can say the same, but we're headed on to Blizzard World.
Yeah, it's a bit. This game, hopefully ASMR untilts me. This game, that would be nice to see. And hopefully we don't see a C9. That would be really nice as well. I expect for ASMR, again, they probably stick to what they know. Fakta on that Pharah. I think you could also see, again, a return of the Winston or the Hammond and the Zarya, depending on what they would like to do here. But for Vasta, they seem pretty set on just playing what the meta is, which is the Genji poke. And on Blizzard World, Genji poke obviously works really well, but you do have some avenues with Fakta to play that Pharah because you do have an infinite skybox. The only issue is that the sightlines are incredibly long, and going up against a Widowmaker or an Ashe in the realm of Kage, I'd be a little bit worried.
I'm this is a great part about ASMR and these underdog teams that kind of come out of nowhere. You have no clue what they're gonna play. They're in the attack spawn. We don't know until 30 seconds ticks out and that timer goes over, or until we get into the match timer reset. Woo!
Yeah.
All right, so we know what Vasta's playing. Pretty standard double shield. Let's talk a little bit about Blizzard World now, though. We talked about it in the last map. You never see C on this map. Like, ever in the double shield versus double shield. If either of these teams makes it that far, that is a very successful push. You can count it done and out because matching it is going to be so difficult. So that's really the objective. Whoever sets the further pace in B or barely creaks over into that C territory should have a massive advantage.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, Dor, is that maybe ASMR doesn't play the mirror and they just play something else. Like, you know, we do see the Pharah coming out from Fakta. It's been the best hero that he's played so far. And I think that is the one possibility that they have to break open this defense of Vasta is the Pharah play. It's just like in the double shield mirror, when the Pharah is the one that's there, it's a bit more tricky because you're not going to have the same amount of shield poke as you're going to be having if you're on Vasta Gaming. So we'll have to see how both these teams played out. And ASMR obviously is going to just, you know, debate me in spawn. They probably will not play regular standard double shield. They're going to be playing the Hammond with the Sigma. Again, a composite tank line that I'm not too familiar with, but we saw it on Control and it ended up working out pretty well for them. So here on Blizzard World, we could see some of the same thing.
Yeah, this comp we saw a long time ago. It's giving away a good amount of ultimate charge actually to this Genji. A little over 30% given up the Sauna, unless you either find this frag or able to get some serious value. I would not consider this worth it right now. Snip's stuck in spot. He doesn't want to give any more away.
Yeah, he's already given up a lot, and Sauna back at full health. Kage extremely low here. If he goes down, that'd be disastrous, and there he goes.
Of course, always the first one to be picked off. Fakta knows exactly who he needs to be taking out. The Wrecking Ball, though, looking for this Orisa, taken out by an accretion from Jazza. This composition working just as well as it has prior, attacking from multiple angles, giving them so many issues to deal with, and Vasta cannot deal.
Yeah, I mean, Kage has just been, realistically, he's just been bullied this entire time so far that he's been playing against this Pharah composition. He's always the first to die because of some really coordinated dives coming out from ASMR. They take a very early first cap, and they have 5 minutes and 30 seconds to run through this second point going past the pylon terrace. And Vasta Gaming, they actually made switches, so Kage not opting for a hit scan to deal with the Pharah, just going to be trying to have the Tracer and win the ground game, farm up those ultimates off of the tanks.
I mean, they've tried pretty much every way of dealing with this Pharah, and I feel like it has been one of the more successful ways. I mean, if Kage is just going to die anyways, might as well put him on the Tracer. But, oh no, he's going to die again. Oh, this poor guy.
I mean, that's a tilter as well. Like he's just not having a fun time right now. Is Kage, and ASMR going to continue to move this forward. There's the blade though.
Sauna's got one. He cleans up one. Looking for the back line here. Takes out two. And you know what? This seems to be the match of just tilters back and forth. But Vasta's mental is pretty unboomable right about now.
Yeah, and it seems like just like Sauna is the one that's going to be carrying this game if it's anyone coming from Vasta Gaming. Sauna's been pretty good on the Genji so far, and there has a really nice Dragon Blade to stop the bleeding. Kage's actually gone over to the Widowmaker now, trying to put even more pressure on this Pharah, but you can see just how much Vasta has to change their game plan to deal with this Pharah and deal with this Hammond composition coming out from ASMR. They keep changing, and not really always getting a foothold in the competition they want.
And Fangta is so heads up. The Kage hasn't even been able to see this far, yet it's still in the sky, putting out obscene amounts of damage, has a barrage, keeping note of the sight lines. This guy is so damn good.
He's moving and schmoving right now. Is this Pharah? Does go down. Resurrection possibly available. The Accretion Rock misses, and Fangta's back in the fight.
Gravitic Flux is there, but Vasta don't want to commit it. ASMR continue to piecemeal these victories together.
We're waiting to see Kage. I mean, he's hasn't really hit too many shots on this Pharah. I mean, the Pharah's playing ground game Pharah right now, not in the air at all. Bob is committed here, along with the Supercharger from Vasta Gaming. They're trying to stop the bleeding.
But that's the thing, if you're playing ground Pharah, you're still taking away attention from the opposing team. That's the kill, though. They're not going to let the Resurrect come through. No, it still does! Have you learned nothing, Vasta?
I mean, it doesn't look like they have. Legendary kills Kage again, and for Vasta, it's just falling apart right now for them. This Pharah is just in their heads, rent-free. The Dragon Blade coming out, gets one on the Legendary.
Can't get much more, does dash up through Willie, and that's got to be the reset here from ASMR. You've made it a good bit of the way through B, but you're not out of the woods yet.
I mean, very scrappy from both of these teams so far. And again, it's Sana who is the one who has to clutch it out for Vasta Gaming in a situation where they very easily could have just lost there. And Legendary has switched over to the McCree, offering, again, a little bit more shield break and shield poke. And for Vasta Gaming, you have the sight, so now you're going to know where everyone is at all times. And there's the window committed as well.
I mean, the window buys time. Realistically, against this competition, it's not that great of an ultimate. Everybody just kind of runs away.
Yeah, it's just a time buyer, right? That's all it is. It's just,
exactly.
You don't want them to come in. You just want to play a little bit more safely. If you get a pick, that's good. There's a nice call to Accretion, but the kill isn't going to come through just yet. And Vasta Gaming, to their credit, they were taking a lot of time away from ASMR, but in that time, ASMR is farming some ultimates.
But look at this. What they do have on the horizon is going to be the Nano Barrage. The hamster goes down, but the follow-up is still there. This is a fight that we've seen ASMR win multiple times. When you're down two, it becomes a little bit too much. They don't commit the barrage there, but what they do commit is a lot of time.
Yeah, the Fangta plays a little bit too close to the ground there, and ANJ hits a very nice shield bash onto them, followed up by an Accretion from Nipahog, and the Pharah gets obliterated even through the damage reduction from that Nano. And now, the time bid for ASMR that once looked really good is now only at a minute and a couple of seconds, Door, but they do have a ton of ultimates to work with in one of these last pushes.
Big question of order, though. Getting the McCree in position for a Deadeye is difficult. You can combo with the Flux, though. They look to. They pick up two. Lay him back down. The laws of physics have been asserted, but 2 kills for Vasta are found at the end of the day. ASMR tried so hard to combo their ultimates, but they're just sent right back to spawn, and it's 50 seconds on the clock. We're nearing the end of their attack.
And Kage finally makes the Widowmaker work here and gets a nice kill. Vasta Gaming stop the onslaught from ASMR, and now they're in the driver's seat with their ultimates. The only thing that ASMR is going to have here is this barrage. Again, it's always been on the back of Fangta for the entirety of this series. It has to be here as well in this last fight, but they're going up against a ton of ultimates from Vasta Gaming.
6 Qs for Vasta to press. Doesn't really matter what order, given that they have so many. It's going to be ASMR trying to take away the high ground, but that timer's ticking down. It is not looking likely that they really make that space. They have to go in the old school way. Blades into their back line, looking for the Ash. Can't quite take care of them. A lot of damage being thrown their way, but ASMR yet again are put a stop to at the end of B. That's all they get. However, a pretty respectable push, Kenobi.
Not a bad push. It seems like we're not destined to ever see the end of Blizzard World, like you said, Dor.
I'm not sure it exists.
Yeah, I don't know what's beyond there. It's like the elephant graveyard in The Lion King. We're not supposed to go there.
Well, Vasta can only dream of it. And you know what? They're going to have to get there because ASMR made it about 90% of the way through B. They made that very, very difficult for Vasta to actually stabilize. And now Vasta playing the arguably slower composition. There's actually no arguing. They're playing a much slower composition coming into this, but they have a lot more ground to make up. We might have to see some creative swaps to get them through this one.
Oh, I mean, the thing about Vasta, though, is that do they want to do that? It seems like they're set on just being, we want to just play what we want to play. There is the possibility that we did see that dive come out from them that actually I really liked, and there's no way they're not locking the legs. That's just there's no way. There's no way.
If we don't pay attention to it, they might come out with it. Kenobi, don't mention
true. And I mean, to be fair, I don't hate double hit scan. Like I don't generally like it. And on defense here, actually, Fangta is not going to be opting for the Pharah. It's actually going to be the Genji. And from what we saw previously in this series is that Fangta, the Pharah is what gives this team the best chance for ASMR. And on the Genji, not to say that it's bad, it does have a pretty serviceable Genji, but it is not the same caliber as the Pharah. So in the mirror, we'll see what Vasta does. They are locking the legs. I would assume they go back and switch after they realize that there is no Pharah on the side.
Yeah, no surprises here. Sana should be pulling out a swap. Although contrary to what you said, Kenobi, I actually really like this compositional swap from ASMR. Yes, they're not as good as it, but it's pretty much guaranteed to rip time away from that clock, which is about the only thing you need to do when you had to push that successful.
That's definitely true. You do make a good point. That's a nice halt off the... Oh, Fangta was super low there. If he went down, that would have been a point cap for Vasta Gaming. But Vasta, you're right. They did take a lot of time away, forcing the Soldier to have to go back and switch back onto that Genji. And now the fight can truly begin here on the point.
Vasta, though, are in a really good position already. It took them little to no time to get on the point. If they win this fight, they have a beautiful time bank to make it into the second. The Orisa dropping incredibly low. So is the Genji Immortality Field's been forced out. Fangta falls, and with that, Shaw is going to be cleaning up in the back line. Willie gets one as a consolation prize, but it's going to be Vasta continuing on with a threatening bit of bank.
I mean, it's just not the same ASMR when Fangta is on the Pharah. The Genji there dies extremely early, and Vasta are going to have a huge time bank to work with to go through second. But ASMR did have a pretty big time bank as well to work with too, and Vasta Gaming whittled it down to not even getting through second point. But this is a different ASMR without the Pharah, and Vasta Gaming looked much more at home. Nice flank from Kage, who's starting to hit his shots again.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting to not get bullied for once in his damn life. Finally has a little bit of space to work with. ASMR looking to take all of that away, puts them back into choke with the Bob, comes out immediately, takes down Legendary. A lot of the damage has been ripped out of the hands of ASMR. It's going to continue to be the Bob, doing a nice little bit of something on this point and letting Vasta continue forward. Kenobi, we're about one fight away from this one being all over.
And ultimates are in spades for Vasta Gaming here. For ASMR, they're going to have a lot of theirs too, but to stall here, they're probably going to have to commit a lot of them. And if you're Vasta, you can very much just make an eco push here and then decide to just force out all the ultimates from ASMR. But with the kill into deadline, that's a lot of healing that's lost. This is disaster right now for ASMR. They're so close to the end.
This is literally as bad as it gets. Nipplehog is in their back line. Where's he even going? Fangta is now getting bullied just as hard as Kage was. The kills continue to roll in here for Vasta. The card approaching the end. There might not even be a contest. Okay, no Temple of Anubis repeat here, but it seems like Vasta have this one locked up. Amplification Matrix can only keep him alive for so long. Fangta's got a blade. He's got one, but not much more than that. They reach the end of the point. Vasta secure their victory, albeit in questionable fashion, 3-1.
And Vasta Gaming, I mean, really good presence of mind from them at the end of there, specifically from the Sigma player, where they get the kill onto the Baptiste, and I love the aggression where they say, we can flux here, there's no immortality field, we're going to get a couple of kills, and they do just that. They separate ASMR, put them on their back heels, and Vasta Gaming is able to basically win off of the back of that. Really well played from Vasta Gaming, who looked a bit shaky against some of the composition that ASMR was running, but in the end, they were able to prevail.
I mean, it's kind of expected. Nobody knows what this ASMR team is really going to be bringing to the table. Some of them may have scouted out a little bit before, but how much can you actually prepare for a team like this that's running both double shield and ridiculous ball compositions? Not to mention at the level that they were, it was a really impressive performance from ASMR. I want to give props to every one of their players, Willie especially. I think the Mercy went especially understated during that entire time, putting in a ton of work, but it just wasn't enough to take out this star-studded roster of Vasta.
Yeah, Vasta, I mean, looks really good. ASMR put up a really good fight, and I mean, it was a C9 away from them having the lead, and then we probably would have gone to a map 5, and in the map 5, anything can happen. So for ASMR, definitely one that you can look at with some sort of happiness, where you did play pretty well in a couple of those maps, but also kicking yourself a little bit.
Yeah, they weren't able to do it up against one of the hardest teams to beat in Europe, I'd say, right now. Coming through OD, they were really dominant. They gave away a couple wins that they probably shouldn't have. And I'm trying to think, like, if that goes to 5, it goes to Ilios. I think that's a great map for ASR. It really
very
was
good.
The difference of that 1C9. That would have been able to probably get them the map, probably get them the game, probably send them on to 5, a map which they can win. It's hard to explain how close this matchup is. So this is where I kind of pull out the trick question for you. Kenobi, who's your MVP from either side here?
Ooh, MVP from either side. So I can't. I mean, Foncto is really, really good. But if I had to give it to someone, probably Nipahog actually. Nipahog, when on the Sigma specifically, I think had a really, really good series a lot of the time and made that really nice aggressive play at the end that kind of won my heart over. So I think he would probably be my MVP.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely going to be Sauna. I think Sauna, throughout the series, was a real
Sauna did good,
piece
yes.
of the Vasta puzzle. Kept them stable, and on the maps that even when they looked shaky, it was constantly him clutching it out. Constantly him in the overtime scenarios. The Genji kept the Widowmaker off. It did a great... I mean, how many... We saw him kill the Farmer Mercy with blades, like, what, 2-3 times?
Yeah.
At least? The guy was a real consistent piece, and a rock that the team really, really needed, Kenobi.
Definitely agree with that, Thor.
All right, ladies and gents, as for today, though, that's all the matches that we have. We may have an interview coming up here in just a moment. Absolutely, we do. It's going to be Kage coming in from the Vasta Gaming side. We'll pull him into the comms here in just a moment. See if we can get our producer to do that. Kage, hello, and congrats on your victory, man. That was a long and interesting road to get there, but I mean, how do you feel about this whole ASMR thing? Were you expecting that? Were you ready for it? The adaptation had to come through. How'd you guys do that? There's so many questions asked, man. Why don't you just start breaking this down for us?
Well, so obviously they're like a funny Pharaoh TP comp team, right? And it kind of threw me off since like my performance this trials match was kind of lacking a bit, I think. But I'm very happy that we pulled through.
Yeah, I mean, take us through a little bit of like how you were feeling throughout the entire match, because it looked like they had a very set idea of like Kage's the one who is going to be able to deal with the Pharah the best, and they seemed like they just wanted to focus on you the most. How are you feeling throughout like all of that?
Yeah, I felt really hard focused actually.
Yeah,
it was really annoying.
It looked like they just wanted to bully you. Like it did not look like it was a fun time.
Yeah, I was not having fun, especially on the Anubis. Anubis defense. But yeah,
the entire thing was a big, just mental matchup. Was ASMR gonna tilt themselves into oblivion by C9s first, or were they gonna bully Kage to death until the end of the match? And you know what? You guys held out, and I think that kind of speaks to the experience that Vasta and you guys have as a roster. Can you tell me a little bit about what comms were like? Were you guys able to stay calm through all that, or was it getting to you a little bit?
Nah, we were just chilling. Like obviously after losing first match, it was kind of hard on us because we felt like we should have won that. But obviously we were just chilling and we knew we were gonna win the next 3.
And I have a question. So when you saw like at the end on Blizzard World, when you were bringing out the double hit scan, were you thinking that there was going to be Pharah on the other side? Like, come on, there must have been like, there's no way they don't play Pharah.
I mean, yeah, they're like that Pharah player is kind of known for Pharah OTP, so yeah. We're just like, alright, we're just gonna hard counter him.
And then when did you see the Genji, you're like, oh, okay, this is a win. We know. We like. Yeah. It felt like every time the Genji came out, it was just like a just giant pressure was released from you guys, where you're like, okay, we finally can breathe. And we don't have to play against Pharah, and we can play Genji, and we can just roll them over.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're really bad on the mirror matchup on the meta comp, so yeah. We felt really like.
But huge congrats to you, man. That's the start of the Vasta. And you know what? With this revamp roster, you guys have come in. You guys have made some serious waves. I can't wait to see what you guys have to go in the future. You have any parting words before we let you go?
Nah, I'm really happy for my team to carry me today, but I'm gonna focus on myself and perform better in the next trials matches, for sure.
Hey, can't wait to see what you have to offer. Thank you so much for the interview. We will let you go there. Ladies and gents, though, as for EMEA today, that's all we have for you guys as well. Be sure to stay tuned, though. It's happening all week long. You won't want to miss any of the EMEA Contenders trials action here on Monkey Bubble. Kenobi and I, that's all we have. That was an entertaining last match, wasn't it?
It was really, really fun, and I'm glad we got to interview Kage there and feel his and get his thoughts on it. I know I've been that player who's been bullied by the enemy team a couple of times, so to hear what he was thinking and that it was the same, it's like, okay, pro players still feel that. They have emotions, you know.
Yeah, we've all been there, man, and you know what? We've all been to the end of the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.